Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. We're live for Manchester United against Aston Villa, but also, let's not forget, we're live because it is a massive day in the history of Manchester United with these big protests taking place ahead of the game today. There's lots to update you on. Team news, I don't know about you, but team news for me is just a little bit of a... It's not the priority, is it? I've not really heard anybody talking about the team news that much today, and the team news will be coming in a moment. Well, we've got it for you now, but obviously the priority is the protests. Massive shout out to those people who are actually protesting at the game today. They started a little before midday. Have walked from Manchester city centre into Old Trafford area, and obviously the stance is to not go in until 18 minutes. It's going to be very powerful. There's a lot going on. I'm not going to pretend that I feel confident about this. We've got an early super chat from Lewis saying deflated and upset. I'm not bothered about the Villa game. We were so close, it seems, so far. There are some... look, for me, it's massively disappointing, but I think Sir Jim Radcliffe looks like he's played a blinder as a business deal here. And he looks like he's the favourite to get hold of the club. I want a full sale. I don't respect it. It makes me feel sick. We've had 17, 18 years of the club owned by business people, and I think this is a business decision. I think this is a vanity project from Sir Jim. I think he thinks he can make us successful, but I don't think he's got a clue about football. You can get somebody who was good at cycling in, you can be from the area, and you can be a billionaire, but this is big boy shit. This is if you need bottomless pockets. He hasn't got that. He's a business person. That's what he's built his billions on. Ineos and everything he's involved in is profit making. That's what he does. That's not what you do in football. He's also, more importantly, wanting to keep Joel and Avram in place, and I think that's the masterstroke he's played here. He's pulled out of a full sale and constructed a deal that basically will get him into the club through the back door. He's played a right snidey move to get himself into the club by keeping Joel and Avram there because he knows they want to stay. And that's the perception I have. And we can get into that. But the perception is that most fans want a full sale. And, we'll get into that. But before we get into all that, let's talk about the team news that's come out for Manchester United today. There you can see it. It's my first look at it, actually. So you've got Malacia and Wan-Bissaka as fullbacks. Luke Shaw and Lindelof at centre-back, I think, is the right choice. You've got Bruno and Casemiro with Sabitzer, and then we've got... Oh no, I've got that. Read that completely wrong. I can't read, and I've got my glasses on. Let me just hold on a minute. I'm not all over the place, but my interest in this game is not what it should be, to be honest with you. I think one game for the next fucking 17 years of having Sir Jim and the Glazers in is just making me want to throw up. So it is De Gea. It's not Wan-Bissaka. It's Dalot and Malacia. So Wan-Bissaka doesn't start. Sorry about that. So it's De Gea, Dalot, Malacia, Lindelof, Luke Shaw, Eriksen, Casemiro, Bruno, Sabitzer, and Sancho, and obviously Marcus Rashford. So he's actually dropped Anthony and to start Sancho, who he subbed at half time. I'm not massively bothered about the team. Harry Maguire's back on the bench. Butland, Wan-Bissaka's on the bench. Williams, Fred, Pellistri, Anthony, Martial, and Weghorst. I mean, if you're interested in the team news, and I'm sure many of you are, it would be remiss of me not to talk about that for the moment. But I don't really know what Ten Hag's doing there, really. He subbed off Sancho the other day because he was playing crap, apparently. He's dropped Anthony, who I thought was okay against Spurs. He's playing Rashford down the middle again. And then I agree with him getting Sabitzer in. I mean, I think the only issue... I don't know why Wan-Bissaka's not playing either. I don't know why Wan-Bissaka's not playing. I don't know why Anthony's not playing. I don't know why Sancho is playing. And... I prefer Rashford off the left, but I'm not gonna cry about it. The fact that Harry Maguire's on the bench and not starting, I suppose, is good news. Off topic, but currently watching Inter versus Lazio, and I don't understand why we're not in for Barella. He would be perfect, says Connor. Well, on topic, what makes you think we're in for Barella when it would cost £100 million? I mean, are you just not listening to what's going on, Connor? Like, where are you pulling this £100 million out to buy a midfielder when we need a striker as well? And we're probably just about to get bought by Sir Jim. Jonathan, afternoon, Mark. Keep the faith. Man United fans are the best. They won't let the Glazers stay. We got this, says Jonathan. I personally don't think anybody believes that, Jonathan. They've been here for 17 years. They're only selling because they want to sell. Commune Devils, let's try and get out of first gear tonight, says Troy. How would you feel about the match being cancelled due to protests, says Marcus? I wouldn't actually care. I wouldn't really care, actually. I don't think it will, because I think the protesters have done a fantastic job, and I think it's not about that. Obviously, the Liverpool game turned into that. It's not about that, and I don't think the game will get called off. Results no longer matter if Jim is coming in. The only step I see to block this is getting games called off at Old Trafford, says Aran. And how did we not see this coming from Sir Jim? He literally has rat in his name. Also, what are your thoughts on no Anthony and playing Bruno on the wing, says Jay? I don't like it. I mean, I think that's a great point. I don't like Bruno on the wing. He's best at number 10. I'd rather play that team and have Rashford on the left and Sabitzer as a false 9, which is what I said in the preview. So Jim's bid isn't a big surprise. All he had to do was bid a better percentage for 51%. Mate, you know what, James? I just want to explain it to everybody in a minute why Sir Jim's looking like he's going to win. He's played a right snidey business move, and it's just self-gratifying. It's completely and utterly vanity. It's just a vanity project. He couldn't even get hold of Chelsea. He got outbid for Chelsea. So he's obviously learned what he did with Chelsea and, put it into place for Man United. It's a fantastic business deal, but so was the Glazers buying Man United. We suffered because of somebody putting together a good business deal. What do you think is going through Althani's head after seeing Sir Jim Ratcliffe changing his mind from a full sale to now keeping the Glazers in, says Ian? Well, look, whatever you think about Qatar and whatever you think about Althani, they've actually done the right thing. They want to buy the whole club, they want the Glazers out, and they want to, rebuild the football club, as has happened at Man City, as has happened at Newcastle. But what Sir Jim has done, he's completely blindsided the fans and everybody just so he can get hold of the club. What Sir Jim Ratcliffe has done in the most basic way is this. People moan about, oh, you don't understand business, you don't understand business. Let me explain it to you. What Sir Jim Ratcliffe has done is he was meant to be buying all of the club. And we knew he wasn't going to get rid of the debt, and we knew he was going to borrow money. And Althani wanted to buy the whole club, and that's why he was confident. So they were going head to head to buy the whole club, but Sir Jim didn't really have the money, so Althani was confident. And let's say Althani's going to buy the club for 5 billion, the whole 100% for 5 billion, right? And let's say there's 5 Glazers. This isn't the scenario, but I'm just giving you an example what's happened. So Althani offers 5 billion for all of the club, and each Glazer gets $1 billion each, yeah? But Sir Jim offers 3 billion for 50% of the club, and the 3 Glazers that don't want to be there still get $1 billion each, but the 2 that do want to be there, they stay. So Sir Jim's only offering 3 billion in that scenario. Althani's offering 5, but the Glazers that want to sell, they still get $1 billion each, the same as the full sale, but the other 2 get to stay. That's what he's done. That's the masterstroke he's played. He's overvalued the club, but he's only paying half of it. So he's going to pay, 3 billion for half of it, which values the club at 6. But he ain't paying 6, he's only finding 3. Whereas Althani has valued the club at 5 billion, but Sir Jim is valuing it at 6, but he won't pay 6, he'll pay 3. So he's basically undercut everybody so that Joel and Avram can stay, but the siblings still get the same they would get anyway. It's a masterstroke of a deal to get yourself in the power, but you only have half of the power, and you keep... Basically, he's done a deal with the devil. He's done a deal with Joel and Avram to get into the club, and he's screwed us over, in my opinion, based on the information we're getting at the moment. Now, obviously, that information can change. I've heard Gary Neville on Twitter today say he's not going to say anything because none of us know anything at the moment. But we do. There's loads of information out there that he's reacted to in the past, but he's choosing not to react to now. But that is simply what he's done. He's overvalued the full value, but he only wants half. So the Glazers, it's a very clever move, but the problem with that move is the reason nobody ever thought this would happen, and the reason Althani's probably never offered it, is because he doesn't want the Glazers to stay. Nobody does. So Jim's deal is based on keeping the Glazers, which is what these protests are about. So he's basically done a big up yours to the fans to get in control of the club. He's done a deal with the Glazers. Mark, if Altani was offering the exact same package as Jim, what would we choose? Says Andrew. Well, it's irrelevant, isn't it? Could it be that the Glazers are feeding the British media to try and make the Qatari offer a better deal? It's over, Vect. The deadline's gone. Our only hope, the 30% on the stock exchange, how will they feel about the trading share price getting tanked while the Glazers get a premium, says Glennie. Jonathan, welcome to the Members Club, and I can't back anyone who gets into bed with the Glazers. Glazers out, Qatar in, says Tom. Look, we've got a game today. We're playing Aston Villa. I'm going to put the team news up in a minute. Looking at Nice in League One, I'm worried, says Manmit, and it's kind of crap as well that the regular shareholders are screwed in this deal. They get no return in their investment and will be left in the lurch with worthless shares, says Rory C. People are saying Sir Jim will be hated from day one. It won't work, but it will be a charm offensive. Like there are fans already who quite like Sir Jim. You know, they're completely turning their back on the Glazer out thing, but they do like Sir Jim. He'll go and buy Harry Kane. All they'll do is what the Glazers used to do. The Glazers spent 250 million last summer. Sir Jim in his first summer will spend a load of money. He'll make some big plan about the stadium and infrastructure, and fans will go, oh, maybe he's okay. Maybe this is the future. But I'm telling you now, he can't compete with Manchester City. He hasn't got the money to compete with Manchester City. So we'll just have another 17 years, like the 17 years we've just had. It will be sporadic success. It won't be sustainable. It's not. But ultimately, it's not what I wanted. It's not what I want. I don't, what everyone else wants is up to them. I didn't want this. I wanted the Glazers gone. I don't want the Glazers staying with 20%. It said in a news article this morning that basically Sir Jim's going to buy 50%, but then he's going to give Joel and Avram an option to sell their 20% over the next 2 years, or they can stay forever if they want. Well, what does that mean? Oh, they might go in 1 year or 2 year, but they can stay forever. It's so disappointing. But this is what happens in business. This is why we got bought in the first place by the Glazers. We're not protected as fans by mercenary business people. We're just not. This is high stakes business, and this is what happens. So that's where we are at the moment. Obviously, we'll keep you up to date with what's going on. But the facts are, before I go back to the team news, which is there, the facts are, and this is. I don't know why people are suddenly ignoring the information we've had for the last few months. The facts are, Al Thani and Qatar were willing to buy the whole club, build a new stadium or renovate Old Trafford, spend big on the team, spend big on infrastructure and clear the debt. That was what that bid was. That's always there, and whether we get it or not, that's there. That's gone. If we don't take it, it's gone, but it was always there, and we'll always know it was there. So Jim's offer, which has never been refuted publicly, is... I can't afford all the club. I can't really afford the club, but I'll borrow it from America and then I'll put it onto Ineos. I won't clear the debt that the Glazers already have on the club because we'll just keep paying that off. And the Glazers are going to stay. Great. So you're going to keep the debt. You can't afford to buy all the club, and you're going to keep the Glazers. Great. Brilliant. I've got no doubt he'll still buy players. I've got no doubt that we'll still build or renovate the stadium, but it won't be anywhere near the level that we want to do it at, unfortunately. Glazers inserted a clause when buying the club. They have Class B shares which have 10 times more voting rights. Well, Toby, I'm not going to talk about voting rights because, to be honest with you, Sir Jim would be an idiot to buy the club and not have voting rights. And I'm pretty sure he will have voting rights. So I actually don't think that's really even relevant anymore. I think it's a bit of a red herring. You don't buy half of the club and then have no voting rights. He'll just do a deal where he does have voting rights. The Glazers bought the club using a shady move, and look at us now. Jim's supposed to be excused and the media remains quiet because he's local, says Koresh. Well, whatever Sir Jim Radcliffe ends up doing as a Manchester United owner, he's completely and utterly ignored what United fans want so he can get hold of Man United. He knows there's an offer on the table where somebody can buy the whole club and get rid of the Glazers, and he, for whatever reason, has decided his opinion is more important than millions and millions of everybody else. He's right, he wants the club, and he's willing to do a deal with the Glazers to get it. I mean, I can't speak about that. I think it's disgusting. But look, the door's open, Sir Jim. Talk to fans, tell us we're wrong. But ultimately, if you're keeping the Glazers, don't come out saying, well, they might go in a year or two. Did you do a deal with the Glazers to get hold of the club? Well, they might not. Did you do a deal to get hold of with the Glazers to get hold of the club? Yes, fine. I'm not interested. And Qatar will get Liverpool now, says Rory C. Mate, I don't think. Look, no deal's done yet. We still could get bought by Qatar. You've got to hope and pray if that's what you want. But I'm telling you now, there ain't no way if Qatar miss out on Man United, they're going to go, that's it. That's the only club we're interested. You know, they've been scorned. They will deliberately, and I wouldn't blame them, go and buy another Premier League club and prove what you're missing out on. I think it'll be a bloody disaster for Manchester United if we end up with the Glazers and Sir Jim. I really do. And I expect Qatar probably will go and buy another Premier League club, yeah. Maybe Spurs. Sir Jim Crapcliffe, sorry. Sir Jim Glazer, says James. What happens to the club when he kicks the bucket, says James. I don't know. How far is Nice from PSG would be the situation of United and City, says Manmit. And it's almost like these businessmen are set on making United a mid-table club for the next decade, says Stephen. You see, what these business people want to do, there is still a chance of Qatar, Baron. I mean, look, there is still a chance, and hopefully it still will happen. But at the moment, everything is suggesting that Sir Jim has done a deal with the Glazers that they will take, because he's massively overinflated the value of the club, but only pays half of it. So it's win-win for him. But what Sir Jim and what Joel and Avram Glazer are trying to do is they believe that Manchester United will be worth 10 billion in the next few years, and then they can cash in. I think we're a project to be sold again. I think that's what we are. We're a project to be sold again. With Sir Jim buying the club, I cannot see Man United winning the Premier League for about 5 years, maybe more, says Mohammed. No, I would agree if that happens. Roger, well, look, let's just remind ourselves that, you know, as much as we're annoyed and frustrated and, you know, concerned, there is actual action taking place right now outside Old Trafford. Protests, and you know, people are, you know, there in the rain on a match day, and it's going to be really interesting to see just how much of an impact that has. As I said yesterday, every voice matters, and you know, if you're on social media, find it. I've just tweeted something from United Stand as well. There's a lot of videos, there's a lot of footage going out there. United Stand, a Twitter account, has 2 million. So, you know, retweet it, other accounts, retweet it. It's not about anything other than spreading that message that we want the Glazers out and we want a full sale. And, yeah, check it. I've just retweeted it off mine, and you can do it as well. So, yeah, get involved. You're very, very welcome on the show today. You'd have to be a bit of a fool to get into a fresh business venture like this, though, with the kind of backlash the fans are going to give you, says Karash. But I don't know, mate. I don't know what the future is. I mean, I was thinking about this morning. You know, if Sir Jim gets hold of the club, it's done. You can moan all you like, but he's here for the next 10 years at least. You know, have the fans, have you got the... It's not the desire. Have you got the energy to go through this again? We didn't get rid of the Glazers. They got rid of themselves because they can't afford to build a new stadium. And they need to sell because they bled us dry. I mean, if Sir Jim comes in, he'll buy Harry Kane. He'll probably buy De Jong. In the first summer or two, he'll probably will spend money, because that's the... If I was Sir Jim and I'd done a deal with the Glazers and I knew people weren't happy about it, I'm not just going to get the job and go, up yours, let's pay ourselves some dividends. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put plans in for a new stadium, and I'm going to spend about 200-300 million pounds on Ten Hag. And then everyone's going to go, oh, actually, maybe he does know what he's doing. You know, maybe he sacks Arnold and Murta as well. Oh, maybe he does know. And instantly, the fans are going to start going, oh, it's not too bad, it's not too bad. Because ultimately, if we're getting top four every year, people probably would put up with it. But my big issue is this opportunity, when you're talking about the sort of wealth that was on the table from Qatar, that was the opportunity to go and compete for the Premier League and the Champions League for the next 10 years. I don't see that happening under Sir Jim. I think we'll just have what we've had in the last 10 years, you know, fighting for fourth. You know, we still will buy the likes of Harry Kane and the Paul Pogbas and the Jadon Sanchos, but it won't be the sustained success that is needed, and it won't be the sustained investment that's needed. There was no way that Sir Jim was going to get embarrassed again after missing out on Chelsea. He was always going to weasel himself at the helm, says Spencer. Mate, this deal, on a business point of view, he's played a blinder if it works. In relation to the United fans, he has betrayed them, because he is not what he said he was. He is not about the fans. He is not about Manchester United. He's done a deal with the Glazers and kept the Glazers in place. That's the bottom line. You can try and like it. You can try and say you don't blame him. You can try and back him. But nobody can move away from the fact that if this deal goes through as reported, he's only buying half of it, and he's done a deal with the Glazers to allow them to stay. That is a sickener, an absolute sickener. Please, can you discuss in detail the negatives of a Qatar deal for the sake of fairness, says JW. Well, the negatives of a Qatar deal are that we would end up being like Man City. That's basically it. You know, we'd have the cheat code. But we'd challenge for trophies. I mean, I think that's basically it. So Jim did that interview acting as a saviour for the United fans. Instead, he screwed us all over and made a deal with the devil, says Red Smurf. Mark, I don't think I can stand another 10 years of anxiety supporting this club, says Clayton. Welcome to the Members Club, Michael. And Aram says, sad to see virtually no media coverage outside of YouTube of the protests. Also, we are opening the door for Qatar to invest in another club. Imagine they go for Liverpool after all this, says Aram. Well, it will happen. It will happen. You can't smack somebody in the face and go, but don't go anywhere else. Of course they'll go somewhere else. And that'll be on to Jim and the Glazers. It's kind of crap as well that the regular shareholders are screwed in this deal, says Rory. They get no return. I think I've done that one from Rory, but thank you very much. I mean, I don't really care about the other shareholders. You know, who are they? What do they do for the club over the last 17 years? Not a lot. It's sad that we once saw Sir Jim as the saviour, says Wes. Well, quite rightly, somebody tweeted me today and they said, oh, 6 months ago you were going on about how good Sir Jim Radcliffe would be. Oh, hold on a minute. I'm so sorry that I didn't know what his plan was 6 months ago, and I actually thought that anybody would be better than the Glazers. I didn't realise he was going to basically front himself as a full sale, and now he's actually going to only buy half of it and do a deal with Joel and Avram. Sorry for changing my mind and realising how betrayed we've been. Jack says, I know we had a good season, but I've got to ask questions about next year. Could it be just one-off if the Glazers don't sell? Says 100%. So Jack Jones. And maybe the worst thing about this is that I think Qatar was a huge hurdle for Parasites to get a Super League, says Billy. And Mark, wouldn't we have the same issues with Sir Jim Radcliffe if we'd had with Qatari about PSG? Love the show. Crystal, you'd have to give me a little bit more info on that. I don't know what you know. I don't know what you mean about that. Not too sure about that. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe, by the way. Lots to get involved in. That's the Manchester United side on the screen there. The Aston Villa side, we'll just give you that as well. There is a game between Manchester United and Aston Villa, of course, that we need to discuss. United have made a few changes. Anthony drops to the bench. Maguire is back, but he is on the bench. Sancho plays off the right. Bruno and Sabitzer start with Eriksen and Casemiro and Rashford. It'll be interesting to see how that front six work. But that's pretty much the way Villa have been lining up for a long time now. Martinez in goal, Ashley Young at right back, Moreno at left back, Konza and Mings, Dendonka and Luis, McGinn, Bendia and Jacob Ramsey and Ollie Watkins. On paper, it doesn't look a fantastic side, but actually, it's won 8 of its last 10 Premier League games. It's drawn the other. They've only conceded 3 goals in their last 10. They are arguably the form team in the league beyond Manchester City. They're doing absolutely fantastic. And I actually predicted a draw for Manchester United today. So, look, but I agree that there are other conversations and other things going on that people are more concerned about. Yeah, but we have got a game. Also, let me just remind you that we are sponsored by Manscaped on the show today. 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. I'd love to trim the Glazers out of the club with one of these, but it doesn't. I don't know whether that's going to happen. But you can get 20% off and free worldwide shipping with Manscaped, who are sponsoring our Watchalong today. They've also got the Weed Whacker as well, which goes up the nose, which becomes part of the performance package where you get a travel bag and deodorants and things like that. Really fantastic products. They do ship worldwide. You'll get free delivery and 20% off with the code GOTUNITEDSTAND. Links in the video description as well, or scan the QR code next to me. It really does make a big difference. Thank you very much to Manscaped. So United are kicking off in about half an hour's time. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plans out in relation to how many people actually turn up into the game. I think this is look, I've got nothing but respect for those people. Obviously, there's people you know from the United stand who are season ticket holders who go to every game. Beth, Ricky, Adam, Faz. There are others. I don't know and haven't asked them what they're doing around whether they're going to wait outside for 18 minutes or not. I think this is something that I've always been quite not in a disagreement with, but I've challenged the people online who, or well, it's not just online actually. I don't even like that statement. There has always been this whole empty the stadium thing, and it's ridiculously hard to do. If you've ever been to Old Trafford and you see the diversity there, like there are season ticket holders who go every game. There's season ticket holders who go every home and away. There are people who are there for their very first time. It's such a diverse fan base, and there's people who've been to that ground every match for the last 40 years. And you're asking, so it's very hard to empty a stadium. Very, very, very difficult. But look, there is an attempt today to get as many people as possible to not go in for the first 18 minutes of the game. Now, I don't know how easy that's going to be, but ultimately I don't really want to see people having a pop at people who are in the stadium, and I don't really want to see people having a moan about, there's not enough empty seats, because ultimately that is such a personal choice, and those people who are protesting or staying outside, well, they're representing the whole fan base today. So look, I just think at the end of the day, it's a powerful message, even if a few thousand don't do it. But it's just, I just feel very down today about it, and I don't know why. And I hope I'm going to be completely wrong. I just feel really down. This whole Sir Jim Ratcliffe deal that he's done with Joel and Avram, or he's reportedly doing with Joel and Avram, I just feel massively betrayed. And you know what? I was listening to a clip from Gary Neville yesterday where he said something like, in fairness to Sir Jim, he obviously can't afford to buy the whole club, so he's probably trying to do it in two stages. First of all, get hold of the club with 50%, keep Joel and Avram there, and then look to move them out in the next year or two. And look, maybe that's what is happening, but I don't know what's fair about that. There's somebody willing to buy the whole club, and the future starts tomorrow. And we're meant to sit there and go, in fairness, Sir Jim wants the club so bad that he can only buy half of it and he'll do a deal. This is completely selfish. There is no fairness. I can't believe that people don't see it for what it is. This has got nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with me. This is just Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants Manchester United. We are basically... Why should we be fair about that? This is completely selfish. Somebody there will buy the whole club and build a new stadium and build whatever everybody else tomorrow. They'll start tomorrow. But Sir Jim's gone, no, I want this. I can't afford it. So what I'm going to do is I'll do a deal with the people who've destroyed the club for the last 17 years. I'll do a deal to get rid of some of the siblings. I'll do a deal with them so they let me buy half of it. And then at some point in the future, hopefully I'll be able to get rid of them and start buying the whole club. I'm just like, but there's somebody who'll buy it all tomorrow. They'll buy it all tomorrow and they've got more money than you. And we're meant to go, you crack on and do a deal with Joel and Avram and you take your time trying to buy it all and you've got no bloody money to do it anyway. Oh, that's great. It's completely selfish. It's not best for the club. It's not best for the fans. We are basically... I've got no interest in it. I don't care. You're just doing it for you. You're doing it because you think it's best for you and you think you've got a plan to make United great again. How can it be a good plan when somebody will buy it all tomorrow and start tomorrow to buy players, build infrastructure, rebuild the stadium? They'll start tomorrow, mate. But you want us to get behind a bid that will start in a few years' time because it's going to take you a few years to save up the money to get rid of the rest of them. I just don't get it. Why are we meant to go... I get why he's doing it. He's doing it because he wants to do it. He wants Manchester United. It's a vanity project. I get it. He's a United fan. He wants it. But it's not what's best. It's not what's best. And also, it completely and utterly ignores the whole full sale work with the Glazers stuff. KM says, hi Mark, me and my brother love the show. Keep up the good work. Hopefully we can get a result today. Tough game. Can you call Curtis a Pratt, says KM. Happily. Phil White, welcome to Members Club. Thank you very much. Mark, people need to realise that there is no fairness in football. The power has already shifted to the Middle East. I lived in the UK and now in Dubai. What I can promise is the everything is better run here, says Mohammed. Thank you very much, Mohammed. Mark, it's English bias. If Qatar were going to get into bed with the Glazers, Neville and Press would be screaming on Twitter about it. Full sale only, says Connor. Connor, I just want to say, I very rarely, sort of jump on a bandwagon, but if you've got a bandwagon, Connor, I'm jumping on it. I think you're absolutely spot on, and I don't think we should lose sight of that. If Sir Jim was trying to buy all the club, and Qatar were going to do a deal with the Glazers, they would be scum. They would be evil. They would be public enemy number one. And every ex-player, every journalist, every media outlet would be calling them out for it. You're right. Have we had that the other way around? No. It's kind of crap. I've done that from Rory. The only reason people like the only people like Paddock are opposing Qatar is because Stan supports a bid. They just want to fuel their ego and think fans outside the UK are lesser fans, disgusting. I don't take any notice. I don't take any notice of people like that. They don't dare have a proper debate about United. So, I don't know what they're on about. Phil White, welcome to Members Club. Thank you very much. Connor, we've read that one as well. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way, bottom right-hand corner. Big shout out to Manscaped. I'm going to get the start. You can get 20% off free worldwide shipping with the code United Stand. Jerry has just given us a super chat as well. There was a question there. Why do you think none of the ex-players are involved in the protests? Well, at the end of the day, I don't know whether they are. Maybe they are. Maybe they're doing the videos. I don't know whether, Gary or Rio or Roy or any of them are involved in that. I don't know. And obviously I'm not involved in that. So I'm not to be a hypocrite and say, oh, why aren't you there? Why aren't you there? I get enough people say, why aren't you there? Well, I'll tell you why I'm not there, because the United Stand, we've got people there. We've got clips going up. And ultimately, it's the same, why don't you go to games? I've been to loads of games. And the reality is we provide a service to thousands and thousands and thousands of United fans all around the world. So ultimately, yeah, I could be stood there. I won't be able to live stream. There'll be no bloody coverage to be able to do that. And ultimately, we are talking about breaking news around the bid. And we are giving you the information about what's going on. And, we are vocalising and doing our parts live to thousands of people about what's going on, and I think that's important. What I do shouldn't really bother people. You go to the protest, don't go to the protest, it's up to you. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Gary or Rio or anyone else not being at the protest or being at the protest is good or bad. My fear and my theory is, why do they not really say a hell of a lot on social media? I'm convinced, and I don't know with which bid, but I am convinced that either Sir Jim Radcliffe, Qatar, or both have got ex-players involved. So if Sir Jim has got certain ex-players involved, they ain't never going to say anything because they're feathering their own basket, and the same with Qatar. So I don't know, but I'm convinced that Sir Jim or Qatar or both have got deals in place with certain ex-players, but we'll have to wait and see. Mark, do you think the protests will get violent if this continues and Sir Jim wins? Is in my defence. I don't know, mate. I don't, because I think I don't know. I was speaking to somebody today about this, who's at the protests, about what happens, if Sir Jim gets hold of the club with the Glazers, and they said, well, it will just go up a level, the protests. And I said, but what about the charm offensive? What about, Avram and Joel don't have any say anymore, and they try and keep that quiet when they definitely will have a say. And we're going to buy Harry Kane, and we're going to buy Frankie de Jong, and we're going to buy Kim Min-jae, and we're going to rebuild the stadium. Is it so easy to keep those protests going? Like, we've seen it. You never see Glazers out on Twitter when they're signing Anthony. You never see Glazers out when we're in a semi-final of an FA Cup. Well, you do, but that's a bad example. But you know what I mean. You don't see Glazer out protests in the summer because there's no games, and obviously they're buying players. So I think we'd be part of a charmed offensive, and I think the depressing thing for me is if we do get Sir Jim and we do keep the Glazers, I think it's the next 10, 15 years of the last 10, 15 years, and that's just very depressing, isn't it? And who's got the energy to, it's a very emotionally consuming negativity to constantly be like, I'm so depressed and fed up with the way the club's being run. I think at some point, even myself might have to just go, fuck it, you know what? I just hope the team wins. I'm never going to not support Manchester United. I hope the team wins. We're screwed with this ownership, but what can we do? I don't know. I don't know what the future is, and that's the depressing thing. This was an opportunity, a big opportunity, and we may miss it. And the scary thing will be is if Qatar doesn't get hold of Man United, if they go and buy Spurs, or they go and buy Arsenal, or they go and buy Liverpool, and we watch what could have been, whilst we're scrapping around trying to live off our revenue and our debt. J. Dot, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well, pal. And Manchild says, I'm excited to see. Eric Ten Hag's multiple cam diamond setup. Casemiro deep, Eriksen and Sabitzer ahead of him, and Bruno and Sancho sitting above them, says Manchild. Nice one. Hi Mark, great show, says David Taylor. Whilst this club are messing about this farce of a sale, our rivals are probably already in talks with future targets, says David. This deal was done 6 to 12 months ago. The whole bidding process is a way of finding a club value. When Qatar offer 5 billion, Jim offers 50% of that value, says Josh. Josh, I think you might be quite an intelligent person. We've never met, but I think you might be quite an intelligent person, because if we go back to the coverage of this whole sale, I can't be asked to do it, but if someone wants to go and find it from November, I said a few times, I'm absolutely convinced that the Glazers have got a buyer. Absolutely convinced. They don't need to go public. Man United don't need to go public. I'm convinced they had a buyer already. Do you not remember in August, Manchester United were bidding for Arnautovic and Rabiot, and then suddenly Sir Jim was interested in buying the club, and we bought Anthony and Casemiro. We suddenly found £150 million under our bed the minute Sir Jim got linked to buying the club. You can start to see where I'm going with this, can't you? Where did that 150 million quid come from last August at the end of the window when we didn't have it before? I think the Glazers have always had somebody. I thought it was an American investor, to be honest, but ultimately it is an American investor because Ineos are borrowing money from America so that Sir Jim can get hold of it. I think Sir Jim and the Glazers have been at this for ages, and I think people know it. I do. I look at some media reporting, and I think they've known for a long time. I think they've been privy to information, and I think you're right. I think this whole Qatar thing could just end up being a big red herring, just to find a value. It's very, very, very worrying. What if the Glazers never intended to sell and let go? What if they were tempting Qatar to drive up the price for Sir Jim? Yeah, David, the space that we were just talking about. People complain. Stop calling him Sir Jim. Mark, it's triggering me. Call him Snake Jim, says him. Well, I do have respect and manners, and he has got that title. Jim is trying to put the final nail in the coffin. Manchester United is more than a club for me, says Shiju. And it was rumoured that Qatar had plans to reinvest on the surrounding area as well. Nothing of the sort has ever been mentioned with Sir Jim. I'm sorry, Glazers out, and needs to be Sir Jim as well, says Sai. Remember, what is Sheikh Jazim's personal wealth, says Paul? I don't know. Protests at Ineos sites would be good, says Remy. People complain about clubs having super oil wealth. Man United is one of the biggest historical clubs in the world. Why shouldn't we have super wealth as well? Says no. And think back to... Look, the reality is, I think you always learn a lot from rival fans. Like, Fellaini. I never used to want Fellaini to play. And you'd get rival fans saying, give him a new contract, he's fantastic. Because they knew, while we had him in the team, we were never going to go anywhere. Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans, Man City fans, they're all desperate for Sir Jim to get it because they know what will happen. That rival fans give you the best thing ever. And also, let's not forget, Sir Jim couldn't even buy Chelsea. He couldn't even get hold of Chelsea because Chelsea had this Todd Bowley investment fund that were willing to chuck the money at the club to get the club. Unfortunately, there was no backdoor deal he could do with the Glazers to get hold of Chelsea, was there? Think back to what Jim said publicly before any of this interest. Ineos are open to a minority stake with a view to long-term ownership. That's when their negotiations started, says Jimmy. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I feel like it's been in the works for a while. It was rumoured that Qatar had plans... Yeah, I've done that one from Sai as well. Thanks everyone who's tuning in, by the way. Make sure you subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner. You're all very, very welcome. Let's just have a quick look. I've got the Formula 1 on as well. There is a game of football starting in 20 minutes, and it's going to be massively intriguing, of course, to see how it pans out, considering, for me, it's not the team news that I'm really interested in. It's just how much support this is going to have for for people actually entering the ground. I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm just having a quick look on socials now. I think from what I've seen already, there's plenty of people turning up for the protest. It's hard to define what stance people will have in relation to turning up for these things and going into the ground, but 18 minutes is what they're asking for, and it'll be very interesting to see how it pans out. Indeed. Let's have a quick look here. Anthony, just some quotes coming in from Ten Hag actually that you might be interested ahead of the game. Lots of people saying that the trust is gone with Sir Jim. I'm just going to get you these quotes from Erik Ten Hag because he's spoken about Anthony ahead of the game as well. So, basically, Erik Ten Hag on Anthony not starting. He's played a lot, so we have to protect him, but also from a tactical point of view, I think he's the right choice today. On Thursday in the second half, we were not top and we got hammered. Today, if we're not top, we have a problem, so we have to play our best game. Okay. Even Ten Hag's not giving us as many quotes as he normally would. But, yeah, I'm just having a quick look around here. I've just retweeted something. The Munich tunnel is packed with fans singing Glazers Out and Full Sail Only. You can see that on my Twitter at Mark Goldbridge and on at United Stand MUFC. Lots of people getting involved in that, which is good. And obviously, make sure you share the video for this. Ultimately, not everyone can be in Manchester at the ground. And, the more people that we, make aware of these protests and how we feel about this future of our club, the better. Glazers staying must also mean that they've got a new Super League plan with Radcliffe, says Sultan. And Ineos blocks thousands of Twitter accounts, including my own, says Rob. This is how our potential new owners treat fans who asked about the lie. They told us, I'm livid, says Rob. And I didn't know that, Rob. I didn't know that. But you know what? It's the same old, isn't it? People took the piss out of Iliakos trying to buy the club, but at least he came on the United Stand and other places and spoke to people. People took the piss out of that Michael Knighton, but at least he was willing to speak to the fans. Ultimately, maybe they were chances. Maybe they had no chance of ever getting hold of the club. But these big business people, it's always been the problem with the Glazers, hasn't it? They won't stop. They won't speak to fans. They'll speak to people that are going to basically spread their nonsense. I just absolutely wish from the bottom of my heart I could say if Sir Jim gets hold of the club with 20% of the Glazers, we could still compete for titles and stuff. And I absolutely just don't think we can. I think bring it back to the football. If you want to win the Premier League or you want to win the Champions League, you've got to have a team full of fantastic players. And then you've got to have a bench full of fantastic players. And for Manchester United to go from the current squad they've got to that will take years and years under a sustainable running model, which is what we're obviously going to have if Sir Jim buys the club. If you had Abu Dhabi owners of Manchester United, I think it would take 2 or 3 years to build a squad like that. If you're lucky, maybe 18 months. But under this sort of ownership, I just don't see. I don't see it. Proud of the protesters today, says the Josh and Artemis show. Need Full Sail Only. Get Jim the Rat out. Glazers out. We need our club back. And totally devastated at the news, Mark. Got massive anxiety. Took the shine off today's game, says Warrior. Hang in there, mate. Hope you're doing well. I think we're all feeling the same. We just got to hang in there and hope that there is still a chance that we can get a full sale. But the problem is, and we've always said this, haven't we? The problem is the people doing the deal are the Glazers. If this was like Chelsea, where you've got the government and fans involved in what's the best for the club, Al Thani would win easily. And I think that's always something to remember. The Chelsea sale worked well because Abramovich was forced out and then he wasn't involved in who bought the club. So it was very much done on a consultancy basis of what was best for Chelsea, and they went with the Todd Boehly thing. Man United, if we had that, if we were going for what's best for the club, it would be Al-Thani who gets it, because he's the only offer of a full sale. Unfortunately, the people deciding are the people that have destroyed the club for 17 years. So how can you ever trust them to one, make a competent decision, but for two, not to make a decision that lines their pockets? And that's what Sir Jim's tactic has been. From a business point of view, he's played a blinder. From a fan's point of view, it feels like we've been stabbed in the back. Because basically what he's done is, I can't buy this club, I haven't got enough money. So I know what I'll do. I'll go and talk to the enemy and I'll do a deal with them to get my foot in the door. And maybe his long-term plan is to stab the enemy in the back and get rid of them. But I don't think the Glazers that stay, Joel and Avram, won't see that coming. Lily, welcome to the Members Club. Wouldn't it be better to do it at a game that's televised, says Raza? Mate, there's plenty more games. I don't think today is necessarily... I mean, look, if it comes out next week that Manchester United are going to be bought by Sir Jim with the Glazers staying, then, you know, I would imagine, and I'm nothing to do with it, but I would imagine you'd look at Man United against... I mean, I don't think we're at home on TV again this season until Chelsea, which is a Thursday night game, or the final game of the season. Our next few games, you've got Brighton away on Thursday, you've got West Ham away next Sunday, then you've got Wolves at home on the 13th, which is a Saturday afternoon game, and then we've got Chelsea on Thursday the 25th. So we're not actually at home on TV for ages. So I think the protests are absolutely right today. It's a shame it's not a fully televised game, but you know, you've got to grab the opportunity. The worst part of this will be watching rivals get Qatar owners and we sink down the lead, says James. Now we know why Sir Jim got the red carpet greeting he did from Arnold, and needless to say, meeting time with Qatar. Says Glenny Boy. Forget fair competition, oil me up, everything is fair in love and war, says Eno. And I feel sick to my stomach, same as when they tried the Super League. How is this allowed, says Brian. Thank you very much, Brian. And Glenny Boy. Now we know, I've done that one from Glenny Boy as well. And Man United is not just a football club, it's a symbol of national pride and a cultural icon for many people. So Jim's actions could have jeopardised the club's future. Well, ultimately, it's a vanity project. And if anybody doesn't know what a vanity project is, it's where you put your self-interest before the interest of anybody else because you want something. And that's what's happened here. And if you want an analogy on it, ultimately, I think this is like being on the Titanic and there's a lifeboat and there's 50 people waiting and that lifeboat can get 50 people on it. But ultimately, you've decided to, you know, you want that lifeboat and you're going to let who you want onto it, but you're not going to let everybody else onto it. And I feel that that's what's happening here. It's a vanity project. Everybody could be on that lifeboat and ultimately it's just selfish. Hi Mark, the Glazers have a clause in the stock market where the shares that have voting rights lose value. Yeah, but DJ, I wouldn't worry about that. I think that's a bit of a red herring, as I've said. I had such high hopes about this season and future under Eric Ten. I'll tell you what, I need to get my radio piece in so we can hear and can give you some updates on stuff as well, because I'm sure we'll get stuff from the commentary. I had such high hopes about this season and future under Eric Ten Hag. These businessmen have once again robbed me of my joy of football, says Stephen. Joel, thank you very much. Stephen, thank you very much as well for your super chats. Appreciate that. Let's just have a look what some of the members are saying in the chat as well. Thanks for the members. David Moore says there may be more than one Red Devil at the Tour de France this year to watch Ineos. And Nishant's a member. He says, I don't believe Joel and Avram having any emotional attachment with the club. Then why aren't they taking the cash as their siblings are and just go away? Why do they want to stay if they have no votes? Because they believe the club will be worth 10 billion in 5 years. So why would you walk away with $1 billion now when your 10% will be worth 2 billion in 10 years? It's a lot of money, isn't it? You won't find a bank account that will give you interest like that, turn $1 billion into 2 billion in 10 years. Rory C says the Premier League should stop the Sir Jim bid as he can't afford it, so can't be a proper owner. The parent company needs to go into debt, which is the same as the debt being on United itself, essentially. Rory, what needs to happen is, and it never seems to happen, is some clever business person needs to find documents and information about what this deal is, how long it's been going on, and how United fans have been treated like mushrooms for the last few months. Because, as I said, there are enough suspicions there. It feels like United found 150 million under their bed the minute Sir Jim was linked to buying us in August, and yet the week before we were trying to buy Rabiot, and then suddenly we're buying Casemiro, and then the club goes up for sale. Sir Jim's looking at a full sale, but he's going to borrow the money from an American investment fund that was linked to the Super League. I think it was Morgan Stanley, wasn't it? And the Glazers are heavily linked into America. So to me, it just looks like it's a big. To me, it looks like it's all a big front. You know, to me, it looks like the Glazers are getting their money, but they're going to put it in through. I mean, look, conspiracy theories are rife in everything, from film to real life. So, what if the Glazers had the money from Morgan Stanley or whoever it was, and instead of taking it directly so they stay, they give it to Ineos, who Sir Jim then comes in as a front. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? Only a full sale would be legitimate because the Glazers would be gone. But with the Glazers staying, who knows where this carousel of money is going from? This money that Ineos are borrowing, and then Sir Jim gets into United. Maybe Sir Jim's a front. Maybe Sir Jim's a front so that Joel and Avram can stay and pretend that they've not really got any power, but ultimately they do. Who knows what's going on? You just don't know. Lots of empty seats at Old Trafford. 8 minutes to go. I mean, there'd still be quite a few empty seats anyway. There will be people in the chat. I've seen a few people saying it's very disappointing to see how many people are in the ground. It's up to them, mate, at the end of the day. It's up to them. It would be nice to empty the stadium, but as I say, I think it's very hard for the reasons. Makes my blood boil seeing our fans in the stadium while there's protests outside, says Raz. How do the protests look, Mark? I'd be there in a heartbeat if I lived over there, says Bradley. Surely Sir Jim has more foresight than this. The backlash will be huge. Got to be more to it, says Leon. Not if you're not, mate. Business people are rich because they've got an ego. Sir Jim probably thinks, well, they're protesting now, but I'll get them all on side. Armstrong, welcome to the Members Club. Positive is Glazers focus on the commercial. Thank you very much, Umzil. Appreciate that. Andy Ryan as well. There's a lot of empty seats at Manchester United at the moment, but there's also a lot of fans in there. But ultimately, you know what? There's 30,000 of you watching this stream as normal, and there's 30,000 of people. That means it's 30,000 voices basically talking about United and what we don't want, what we don't need, and we don't want anything other than a full sale. Finley and Nicholas are nearly at 2,000 subs. Well done. And shareholders are going to cash out if there's no value, says Lily. We need statements, says Sync. I'm trying to use my words carefully here because there'll be a lot of people. Oh, they've just shown somebody in a half and half scarf. That's never going to go down well, is it? I don't like infighting, so I'm not really going to sit here and say that I think that those people in the people in the ground are traitors or anything like that, because I think everybody's got their own choice to make, of course. And, maybe some of them people want Sir Jim. Maybe some of them people just want to watch Marcus Rashford play. Maybe some people just aren't that deeply ingrained in what's going on in the club and they really don't care. This is why you would never empty a stadium. You'll never empty the stadium because there will always be people who want to go in. It's as simple as that. They pay their money. They make their choice. It's up to them. The reality is the heroes are the people outside. The heroes are the people outside, aren't they? 18 minutes, is it really that long to send a message? But for some people, they don't want to send a message. If I was at the game, I would go in. Never been to a game, so it's understandable, says Alfie. Aaron, welcome to Members Club, and Jashan as well. Gary is a nice guy. He's been a member for 12 months. Thank you, Aaron. Welcome to the Members Club. You don't seem yourself, Mark. I'm really not myself today. I genuinely will be honest and say I'm not myself because we've had 17, 18 years of the Glazers and it's been a horrible, horrible period. When you are concerned that we're going to have another 15, 17 years of that type of ownership. But you're so close you can almost touch a full sale. It makes you want to heave, and I it's very rarely I'm watching a Man United game with you and I'm not thinking about the game. But like, really, Harry Maguire could have been playing up front and I wouldn't have given a shit. I just feel very flat because if we want to fight for fourth every year and win the odd Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, then that's probably going to be achievable. But if we want to win the Champions League or the Premier League again, it's just never going to happen. It's just not. That's the standard, and we won't be able to achieve it. Eno says people in stadium just don't care about the politics, and that's fine. Yeah, and I'm not going to criticise them for it. Everybody else, it's up to you what you do. Please subscribe to the channel, by the way, bottom right hand corner. But one thing I will do is say that heroes don't wear capes. They're standing outside in the rain, not watching 18 minutes of Manchester United play to protest against these absolute mercenaries who've destroyed this club over the last 17 years and are still looking to stay in this club. So, I don't do division. I'm not interested in that. Instead of being disappointed at the people in the ground, let's celebrate and, honour and appreciate the people outside the ground, because they're the heroes. They're the people who have got tickets and are going to miss 18 minutes of it. And maybe some of them are in the ground, but they did the protest. Maybe some people have, So look, it's fatigue, Mark. This whole thing is just draining, says Marcus Laird. Thank you very much. I told you about this dump and pump in market known as federal trading. It went FBI looking 30 years in jail at Old Trafford, says Alex. Thank you very much. Okay. Look, personally, I'd like to have seen the game get called off, but that's not what the protesters are looking to do. I understand that it's meant to be a peaceful protest because they're more powerful. When we got the Liverpool game called off, we were, the media had us as criminals, didn't we? I mean, that Old Trafford actually looks quite full there. Last few weeks, it's felt like we've got a relative in hospital and waiting to find out what will happen, says Raza. And hi Mark, first super chat. Shout out to all of you and the rest of the United Stand. Sending love from I Love United event in Singapore. Stefan, hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. Get the glazes out, says it's your boy Cal. Thank you very much, mate. Love from Australia. Glazes out, says Darcy. Well, looks like Bruno's going to be playing off the left or the right in this game. Mark just feels sick at the thought of losing our club again and we're powerless, says Pauline Brooks. I agree. No wonder the owners feel like they can do anything they please. The stadium is full, says Brian. Well, Bruno on the wing again, says Jenks. The thing is, I don't want to be, obvious with this, but, fantastic protests and, an ask for 18 minutes and yet the ground looks very full. The Glazers and Sir Jim will be like, look, as long as we're filling the ground and people are buying the shirts, really, and that this is as bad as it can get. They know Sir Jim wants to buy the club, and they know he's going to keep the Glazers in, and the ground is still pretty much full. That's what they'll be sat at home going, what does it matter? They're never going to do anything. Packed at kickoff, Glazers win, says Mark. Hi Mark, watching from New York. How do we rate the season at this point with everything we've accomplished against the backdrop of the Glazers drama, says Daniel. I think I like Ten Hag. I like what he's built, but I can only be honest. I feel sick from pretty much this morning when I read the story that Duncan Castles put out. I felt sick pretty much from then. Can you imagine if the Sir Jim deal goes through and the remainder of the season ends up crashing and burning with Champions League and no FA Cup, says Glennie. 10 memberships from Fernando. You're a legend, mate. Thank you very much. Most online fans aren't match-going fans because 90% of us live overseas. I don't see what's so hard to understand about that. Love the show, Mark. Keep up the good work, says Donny. Thank you very much. Is there anything to be said for saying another mass, says Gorist? Right, we're just about to get ready for this match to start anyway. Sabitzer is going to start it. The stadium looks pretty full, says Donny. Imagine putting out news about Sir Jim Radcliffe's bid before a protest, says Calhan. Glazers must be laughing at us all, says Mark. Well, look, it's going to be a difficult game for United. A lot of people in the chat are just saying it doesn't look like nobody's outside. Look, it's a 75,000 capacity. I've seen United playing the Carabao Cup with 60,000 there, and it still looks full. So, you know, there are red seats, and you know there could be 1,000, 2,000 outside. I don't know. 2,000 out of 74,000 doesn't look very many, does it? But they're the real heroes, and they're the people that we should be, vocalising and supporting. I don't get the mindset though. I really don't get the mindset because it's not, and I don't feel that anybody should judge the mindset because Eric Ten Hag out by Christmas continue to rinse and repeat, says DJ. Bo Sider says the Stretford end looks a bit empty. I think you know what I think there's a lot. I think understandably if people feel like I feel and some people in the chat feel, I think there's just a lot of fatigue and tiredness, and I think fans are drained. I think they're absolutely drained, and you know what as well. It's hard to be aggressively proactive when you feel like you've been stabbed in the back, and I think that is what United fans are feeling at the moment. They feel like they've been stabbed in the back because the media. It's hard if you don't live in the UK, but the media have, basically pitched this argument for the last few weeks that Sir Jim is the local billionaire done good who loves the club, and Qatar and Al Thani are the foreign, negative, which is, not what we want, and that's the sort of story that's been put out there. And then what we found out in the last few days is that actually Sir Jim's the one that wants to keep the Glazers in, and then the media haven't really reacted to that because it doesn't fit their rhetoric. But United fans have been stuck with this whole, it's clearly going to win then, isn't it? Because he's done a deal with the Glazers. And it's, it's just very, very disappointing, isn't it? Things got worse before they can get better. I have hope for an owner who has the club as their main priority. Keep your head up, Mark, says LJ. I feel for United because it's challenging to empty seats if you're such a big club with thousands of tourists booking seats every game, says Ronan. I'm so disappointed with the amount of people in the stadium. They could be doing a lot loud. They could at least be doing a Glazers out chant, says Robert. We need new world-class ownership to match our world-class manager, says Sia. Thank you very much. I'll lose interest if the Glazers stay, says Jabba. City are 1-0 up already, by the way. There's a few games going on, actually, today. Not just Manchester United. There's a few 2 o'clock kickoffs. Fulham against Manchester City. Man City have won the league anyway. But Newcastle at home to Southampton, which you'd expect them to win. Liverpool play Spurs at 4:30 as well. Not massively interested in that, if I'm being honest. It's hard to be interested in this, if I'm honest. But obviously we will keep you updated with what's going on. Haaland again. The Qatar dream is not officially over, but many people are saying that Sir Jim is expected to win, which is obviously very disappointing. Indeed. But I think above anything, above anything, the most important thing to say is that we shouldn't fall out, because that's divide and conquer is something the Glazers have done for many years, and it's a tactic that will be used. Divide and conquer. If you divide the fan base, you win. Just had a 20 memberships gifted by Jay Martin. Thank you very much to Jay. You are a legend. Thank you very much to him. And make sure you thank him if you got one of the memberships as well. Tiny bit of good news from Coco's Revenge is that the Man City women team are losing 1-0, if that makes you feel any better. Hi Mark, do you have any idea why United seem to struggle away from home, says JC? I don't, but we're not playing at home today anyway. Sorry, we're not playing away today. We're playing at home today. It'd be a tough game. Villa are a good side. United. Aaron Fitz, thanks for gifting 5 memberships as well. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner. You're very welcome. I think it's going to be a very interesting week, even if it's not what we want. I think it will be an interesting week. I don't think it's going to take long for it to be confirmed who is the preferred bidder for the Glazers. Let's put it that way. Some are already reporting that it will probably be Sir Jim. We're only 200 away from 642,000, by the way, so please do subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Everything starts to make sense now, like the short talk Sir Jim had with and the meeting he had with Ten Hag. Thank you very much from Curtis. Remember when Ashley Young was our captain, says Mark Prellis. Ashley Young has done very, very well. I mean, look, again, Ricky's a big fan of Ashley Young, isn't he? Ashley Young's done really, really well. I mean, considering he left us what felt like a long time ago to go to Inter Milan, come back to Manchester United, come back to the Premier League, sorry, and, he's a starting right back for the most informed team in the league apart from Manchester City. United had a bit of a chance there. Rashford was nearly slipped in by... he was slipped in by Sabitzer, and he missed anyway, but I think he would have been offside. But it was a chance for Rashford. Sounds like he was offside anyway, but should still be putting it in the back of the net. I mean, look, that's what Rashford offers when he plays down the middle, pace. But Kandara, who's a member, says it was offside anyway. What percentage likely will Qatar get Man United as cap? I don't know, mate. I mean, I don't want to throw out those sort of percentages because I don't know. I think it's probably quite low because Sir Jim has offered Joel and Avram what they want to stay, apparently. The media said we were signing Poch and we got Ten Hag. Hopefully they're wrong again, says Billy. Claire, Louise, welcome to the Members Club. And United as well. Thank you very much. Mark is deflated today, Dylan. I think it's a very big thing, isn't it? Whether it happens or not, but it's a very big thing when you're being told to prepare for Sir Jim getting hold of the club with Joel and Avram. I mean, it's not one season. It's probably the next 15 seasons of shitty owners again. This game today feels very much like the Leeds game after the Super League announcement. Makes me sick, says John. I think everybody's deflated because... there was a chance for a new start. This won't be a new start. It'll be more of the same. Is it true that there are Class A and B shares in United and the B shares that the Glazers will continue to own have 10 times more voting rights? They do, that man. But we don't know what deal would be done with Sir Jim at the end of the day. I'm sure that would change a little bit. But I had 10 minutes here. Still no. Stats carousel's going round. Quite an equal game at the moment. Although United have had more of the possession. To be honest, that's not something I've really... I can't say I've watched Villa much on this recently good run with Emery. But... and I don't remember the last time I watched Villa play away. Is that how do Villa play away from home? Are they a counter-attacking side? I just can't see it being Sir Snake full sail, says Ryan. Gary says Radcliffe's been working with the Glazers for months. I think it started last summer, to be honest. Mark, love your shows. Best content on YouTube. Been watching you for years. If Qatar bid doesn't succeed, we're finished. Wholesale is torture, says Chimney. Thank you very much. City are winning 1-0, yeah, we know. I mean, does anybody really care? I mean, we can't... I suppose it's quite a relevant point, actually, because we can't compete with City. So Jim is local lad, and now he wants to be public enemy number one. Doesn't have any sense, says Thomas. I'm watching from Adelaide, South Australia. Love the show, Mark, says Pommy. Thank you very much. Man City, Newcastle, and whoever Qatar buy, we are fighting for fourth for the next 10 years, says Brian. Thanks everyone who's getting involved in the chat. Lots of people talking about the same thing. Not a lot of people talking about the game. United have done all right so far. Any live shows in Sydney? Our end of season show, which who knows what mood we'll be in for that, but it will be... we have still got some tickets left. They're going really quick, but it's a bigger venue, so you can still get them. We're in Dublin on June the 6th. I think the link's in the video description. It's certainly in the live chat as well. So it'd be great to see you there. It's going to be very interactive. United with another good chance there. Marcus Rashford winning a corner. He's made some good runs and he wasn't apparently offside that time, Marcus Rashford. Timed his run really well. Bruno played him in. And to be fair, Martinez makes a good save. It should have been 1-0 to Manchester United. It was a really good bit of play. It's definitely it's deflating to watch all the fans inside the ground. You always said it's really tough to keep the fans out, but this time I had hope, says Shan. Well, we've not hit 18 minutes for another 6 minutes, so I don't know whether there'll be hopefully they will show it that there's a big influx of players coming in. Ineos out, says Tony Cox. And how will the club be worth 10 billion if we never get in the Champions League, says Brian. Super League, mate. None of you're all intelligent people. Come on. How do the Glazers take a club that's worth 4 billion to 10 billion in the space of 10 years? You know how it's going to happen. It's going to be nothing to do with winning the Premier League or the Champions League. It's going to be opening up the revenue streams that they know can be opened up. We are dominating them at the moment. I mean, this has not been a Villa side that looks like it's not lost in 10. I'll drown myself and film it with a GoPro if the Glazers stay, says Erwin. Currently on 10 different meds to survive the Glazer rampage on my club. Don't be doing that, Erwin, please. Yeah, the way that they will basically make Manchester United worth 10 billion is get us into a Super League scenario, and Sabitz has just had another chance as well. We've had a good... Man United should be winning 1-0 here. We should be winning 1-0. Playing very well, says Kevin. Basically, how you take United from a 4 billion club to a 10 billion club over the next few years, get them in the Super League so you can franchise games. I mean, look, the Champions League are already talking about playing a Champions League final in America anyway. So you get yourself into this Super League system, make yourself a load of money. The next step after that is streaming services for all your games. Get hold of your game rights and stream them to everybody all over the world. United aren't going to be worth 10 billion because we start winning the Premier League and the Champions League. It's how they can brandify us even more. Villa play counter-attacking depending on the opponent's home force, says the HPN. Thank you very much for that. And are Adam and Ricky staying outside, says Toho. I haven't asked. I haven't asked them. I don't know. I will ask them when I see them on Tuesday, but I've not asked them before. It's a personal choice, isn't it? I'll tell you what, United are playing well. Bruno just put a good cross in. Malacia is playing all right. It says wavy sleep. The thing is, can United keep it going for 90 minutes? And maybe that's what Villa are thinking about. Dave from London, thanks very much for your super chat. Very generous, mate. Sorry, Mark, just woke up. Is there a news about the sale, says Derek. The news about the Manchester United sale is basically this. So Jim Radcliffe has apparently gone to Joel and Avram and said, we will pay your siblings off and you can stay for as long as you like. Do a deal with me. And he's overvalued the club to get them to agree with it, because basically he's only buying half of the club anyway. So he's overvalued the club. He's paying more for half of it than what... Basically, Al-Thani's offered 5 billion for the whole club, but Sir Jim's offering 3 billion for half of it. So he's valuing the club at 6. So the siblings actually end up getting more, but Joel and Avram get to stay. He's done a very good business decision for his own self reasons. But it's been a good start from United in the first 17 minutes here. Well, 16 minutes. Fans should start to come back into the ground that have stayed outside. A lot of them didn't stay outside, obviously, but there's a lot that did. They all start coming back in on the 18th minute. Top 4 race is now our title race. Thanks, Sir Coward, says Stephen. And I feel so deflated after this news, says Tony. Thanks for your super chat. Greasy says, can you focus on the match, please? I will focus on the match, mate. But ultimately, why don't you focus on what's important for Manchester United? What's the importance of beating Aston Villa if the next 17 years are going to be like the last 17? Let everybody feel the way they want to feel. You know, there's some people who just don't care about what the future is. They just want to go game to game. Some of us actually do care about the future of the club. And I find it very difficult to get... Even if we win 8-0 today, what does it matter? I want Manchester United to start winning the Premier League again and the Champions League again. It's not going to happen. Wow, my mood just changed, says Derek. Aidan, thank you very much for for joining the Members Club. Dave from London, thanks for your super chat. Goodbye Old Trafford and dream of winning relevant titles, says Udut. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Hopefully there might be a spin story of positivity. Thoughts on Haaland being the first person to score 50 goals in England since 1931, says C2. It's pissing it down with rain. Apparently Usain Bolt's there. I bet he didn't stand outside. On a positive note, Sancho is playing well, says Ronan. And on a negative note, Bruno's playing on the fucking wing again. I'd forgotten about that. Beyond devastated with this Sir Jim news. Don't even care about today's game. Disgusting, says Mike. And worst thing that can happen, and there is not any big point made in the stadium. This won't bother the Rats. We may end up like a Villa one day. Sad, says David Miller. Well, somebody said there, is there anything more that could be done around the protests to, make it more impactful? I think they've done a great job. I really do. And Villa have just got a big chance here. Oh, God, it is a big chance. De Gea made the save. Goes for a corner. Good save from De Gea. Bit scrappy down the bottom. Sorry, bit scrappy down Man United's end there again. Luke Shaw and Lindelof are playing at centre-back. I think Villa were trying to claim a penalty for Delot doing something on the back post. Nah, he slipped. Watkins slipped. But Dave makes the save. Bang, thanks for your super chat. Fulham have equalised against City. Marks is Fergie. Oh, that title's done anyway. Why are people getting excited about that? Mark, should we now start praying that Eric Ten Hag will do a Sir Alex work with the budget, says Rahul? Well, that's the only hope we've got, really. Going back to what I was saying there, is there anything more that United fans can do in relation to protests and making an impact? I don't think there's a lot more that the protesters can do. They made it very, very clear what their plan was. They did it in plenty of time. There's a lot of promotion of it. We knew about it, and we've been promoting it. I know everyone else has been promoting it. So it's very difficult. I think it's very, very difficult because clearly, it's a bit like the general election a couple of years ago. Everyone thought Labour were going to win by loads because on Twitter, Labour had most voters. The Conservative Party smashed them in the actual election, and people were stunned because they were like, everywhere on Twitter it looked like Labour were going to win. And what happened there is, well, not everybody who votes is on Twitter, and people who voted Labour were obviously on Twitter, and people who voted Tory obviously didn't get involved in it. It's a little bit like that today. There's been a lot of talk about this protest, and you get really ignited and excited about what the people have done and how they've organised it and what's going to happen, and you see all the stuff before the game and you think this is absolutely massive, and it is. But then in the context of 75,000 people, it's quite small because there's a lot of people who are still in the ground. So how do you impact on those people? I don't know. Is the honest answer, because everyone's got their own thoughts and their own visions, I suppose, haven't they? Radcliffe committing a suicidal deal and killing the club in the process. Done with this club, Mark. Keep up the good work. Stay positive, says Sal. And will you do a Europa League final watch along? You'll be amazed by the midfield duo of Locatelli and Juventus if they make the final, says Abdul. I don't know yet, mate. Go yank yourself, telling Mark to focus on the match. Happy to ignore the bullshit and let the Glazers continue ruining the club into the mud, says AJ. Can you say hi, Luca? Come on, you Reds, says Luca. Hi, Luca. Oh, I see. Thank you very much. But look, I was on Talk Sport last night, national radio show I have on a Saturday night, and I basically just turned it into a big show about being anti to Jim and wanting the Glazers in a full sale. That was an hour and a half on national TV. National radio. That not many people get the chance to do that. So it's not through lack of trying from people to put it out there, but ultimately we're not billionaires, are we? We're not being listened to. And I find it disappointing that people who are very vocal about, give him a new contract, sign this, sign that, where are they today? I just think some people would rather say nothing and do nothing to protect their own brand than actually do what needs to be done. And it's that old adage, isn't it? Evil prospers while good people sit back and do nothing. Mark, do you think our summer transfer will be impacted budget-wise as Sir Jim has to spend on Nice too if he ends up buying the club, says Rory? No, I think there'll be some money in the summer. There was money last year. Protests need to be in America and peaceful, says Dave. Did anyone else realise the reason why Eric Ten Hag is looking for another right-back is because there's a plan for Shaw becoming a centre-back, says Sir Jay. Someone actually mentioned it on Thursday. Yes, mate. The Sheikh and Qataris will go for Sheffield United now, says Ian Nichols. Thank you, everyone. Imagine being bought by a Chelsea season ticket holder. But I don't agree with that. I heard what's his face on that, on the overlap the other day, talking about that, and it's like that's like a load of bollocks. That is, that's like the whole you're not a United fan if you live in London nonsense. Metro says, on a sad note, we finally have a good referee. And any idea how Jim has done in Nice with regards to building the club and buying players? I'm seriously worried. Not that great, Sheehan. Not that great. So Jim Radcliffe's always been a Manchester United fan. He's just a billionaire who lived in London, so went and watched Chelsea because it was down the road. I don't think that doesn't make him a Man United fan. It's depressing how powerless we are to stop them, says Mr. Zan. And is it any consolation that Sir Jim has to please us, says Kyle. He hasn't got the money to do it, mate. Well, Laurie Whitwell's tweeted saying there's empty seats visible at Old Trafford as fans protest outside and those inside chant anti-Glazer songs. Funny thing is, United have actually done quite well in this first 25 minutes. It's been majority Manchester United, although both teams have only had one shot on target. Villa doing a lot on the counter themselves against United. I suppose the concern for me is that how tired we get having played Thursday night football. Our pressing has been really impressive, says Matt. Just need to clean up our passing. Jadon's looking very hungry. Well, I think Jadon's had a kick up the arse, hasn't he? Eric Ten Hag basically did give him that kick up the arse in the presser yesterday. Sorry, on Friday, saying that he took him off because he wasn't doing what he wanted him to do. So he's obviously given him a chance today to, put that wrong right, and hopefully he can do. But I did predict a draw in this game today, and I feel that probably will be the case. Quite happy with the start that Luke Shaw and Lindelof have had again on a positive note. I like the way we play with Shaw and Lindelof. We basically just leave them on their own and the fullbacks get forward, especially at home. Missed the first part of the game. How's it going? Keep up the great work, Mark, says Dan. Well, I think Villa are a good side, but I think United are playing well. Man United are playing well. And as I say, the defence is more dynamic, which allows everybody else to get involved further up the pitch. What striker would you like to be signed if we can't get taken over? Oh, Phil, please. Just when I was talking about the match, you start talking me back in. I'm very deflated about the sale. I'm not here to give you any positivity about the sale. We just hit the bar. Manchester United just hit the bar there. I think it was Ericsson. Let's be honest. If Sir Jim really cared, no, it was Casemiro. Let's be honest, if Sir Jim really cared about the club and the fans, he wouldn't deal with the Glazers allowing them to stay, says Kane Bishop. Thank you very much. Yeah, it came to Casemiro on the edge of the box, and it was good play by Sancho down the left-hand side again. Laid it off to Casemiro, completely unmarked. Probably should have done a little bit better, actually. But it's off the Denver, as Eduardo says. There you go. I think if Sir Jim gets it, we need to pray he wants the best for our club and prove us all wrong, says Tony Cox. Thank you very much. Just going back to that previous question that came in from, who was it? Came in from Phil. I really couldn't give a shit about the summer transfers because I think that, the future is not bright if we're bought by the wrong people. But my prediction would be that they will buy players in the summer. Look, I'm going to tell you something here that's probably going to hurt you. If Sir Jim gets hold of the club with the Glazers and I was their advisor, I would say immediately put a plan in place to build the new stadium. Doesn't matter when you do it. Maybe you won't ever do it, but at least put a plan out. Also put a plan out for the facilities and training facilities, and buy 3 or 4 big players in your first summer, and that they'll shut up for the next 2 years. And that's that. Even I know, as somebody who doesn't want them in charge, that's what they'll do. They will buy a load of players. They will put a plan in place for the stadium and the infrastructure. And it doesn't matter whether they pay with it for debt or if we don't buy players in 2 years. It will just be about spinning you around for the first couple of years. Positivity. A few people getting on to Rashford here. The thing about Rashford is things happen with Rashford, doesn't it? What United need to do is score. We've had enough of the chances here. We're playing a good side who I think be hard for us to maintain this tempo into the second half. Qatar will have the last punch. Sir Jim Radcliffe showed his hand already, says Sheriff. Yeah, but they can't put a better bid in. Deadline's gone, mate. Dex says take Sancho off. Oh, guys, it's amazing, isn't it? I read the chat and it really does amaze me. The difference in opinion on players. I suppose that's down to agenda. Celebrate my half century supporting United, says Beryl. Happy birthday, Beryl. Hope you're doing well. Legend of the chat there. And Matthew says, Mark, young fella, have you ever been a croissant lad? I do like a croissant, Matthew, with a bit of apricot jam. Quite nice. Don't do it very often, but I don't mind it, yeah. Do quite like it. Pelly, welcome to the Members Club. I'm just going to have a quick, very, very quick toilet break. I'm desperate. I think it's because I'm depressed. You're lucky I came back. I felt like just going for a big walk. Got to get back into it. Got to get back into it. Let me get rid of Lord Maguire. Twat. You're gone, mate. Keep typing away. But you're gone. Just because your name's Lord Maguire. No, he was being a prat in the chat. Will the Glazers potentially be prepared to cut ties with Qatar for doing future business in their country, though, says Steve? Well, you don't know how that might not work. You don't. People think business is business, mate. Qatar might still maintain a good relationship with the Glazers and just buy somebody else, you know. Franco says, will you do a match reaction? Of course you will. I've been supporting United for 50 years, says Beryl. Oh, right, okay. I thought you said it was your birthday. Lynn says she's feeling demoralised. Yeah, well, I think if you don't feel a bit down, then you're not really a fan, are you? Because ultimately, this is our future that we're thinking about. I think Villa are just on the game a little bit. I think Villa have been a bit. Doesn't mean they're not going to win the game in the second half. So I just want to add a bit of context here. But I think Villa have been a little bit lacklustre. Not as impressive as I thought they were going to be, which is credit towards Manchester United, I suppose, because but we were very good for the first 35 minutes against Spurs. I think it was some of the best football we've played. So, but Villa have not been as impressive as I thought they would be. If Sheikh Jassim came in with a $6 billion offer today or tomorrow, would the Rain Group turn down the extra billion because of a self-imposed deadline? Probably not, Ash G. Probably not. Can we get a shout out to get us to 2K, please, says Finley and Nicholas. Sunday football stuff. There you go. Shout out to Finley and Nicholas Sunday stuff. They're trying to get to 2K subs. Thank you very much. Bournemouth are beating Leeds 2-1. That's a big game at the bottom. Fulham are 1-1 with Man City and Newcastle are 0-0 with Southampton, who are basically getting relegated. Hi Mark, can you give a shout out to my pal Murray, says Chick. There you go. Why is Bruno on the effing wing, says Abdul. I know, I hate it. I hate it. Still believe Qatar wins. Bullshit news by the press, says Cliffy. Oh, I hope you're right, mate. I hope you're right. The difference between us and Man City when we get Qatar is that we will not have boring football, says God. Okay, you're taking the piss out of City when we might be getting to gym. All hope is not dead. Have faith, says Ash G. And Mark, do you know if your best mate Gary Neville will back Sir Jim or not, says Rahul. Watch out, Villa's about. Malacia did well, very, very well. Good tackle. He's actually having quite a good game. Some people play well in the rain. They can do slide tackles. Wan-Bissaka would have been good. Casemiro with a good tackle as well. I think from the little I remember Gary and others talking about the sale, I think he was pro Sir Jim, yeah. Might have changed his mind now, but I think he was pro Sir Jim from what I remember. I remember watching a video about a month ago where they were all anti-Qatar, basically. I'm praying for oil, so Glazer's out. Goldbridge in, says Utrecht. I love the show, Mark. What's the point in financial fair play when owners are allowed to borrow a massive amount of debt to buy a club and run clubs into the ground, says D16. And Bo, thank you very much for joining the members club. But as I said, Villa in the box. Good defending by Luke Shaw. And Watkins with a high foot, I think that was. As I said, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And it's pure hunch. I think that there are ex-United players involved in these bids. Again, it's another easy win, isn't it? I bought the club, and guess who I'm putting on the board? Sunshine, or, somebody else. Third round bidding, why didn't Qatar improve? Says, can you? I really don't want to hear people who don't really understand business. And I'm not saying I don't understand it, but people are being really, they're just not really understanding the basics of what's happened here. De Gea's about to take a goal kick. So Manchester United's not worth any more than 4 billion. So if you offer 5, you're overpaying anyway. We're not worth any more than 4, really. What has happened is Al Thani's made a good offer of 5 billion to buy Manchester United, and it's a very good offer to buy the whole club. What Sir Jim has done, he's offered 3 billion for half of it. So the Glazers are going, wow, he's valuing the club at 6 billion because he's paying 3 billion. It's a very clever thing that Sir Jim's done because he only has to pay 3 billion, but he makes his bid look bigger because he's only buying half. So he's valued the club at 6 billion, but he's only given them 3 for half. And he's keeping Joel and Avram in place. So he's actually played a really clever move, because if there's 5 siblings, and I know there's 6, but let's pretend there's 5 Glazer siblings, they all get 1 billion each from Al Thani, right? But the 3 that want to sell still get 1 billion each from Sir Jim's half, but Joel and Avram get to stay. And they've basically just done a very, very clever deal. He's done a very, very clever deal if that's what happens. Because he's not paying the full price. He's paying for half of it. Rashford's in again. Shoots early. And Bruno scores! 1-0 to Manchester United. He's playing on the right wing. The Jinx powers have worked. Manchester United lead 1-0. And it's Bruno. Bruno. Jinx. It's 1-0 to Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes has scored from that right wing position that I don't even like. And he's done really well, actually. Marcus Rashford got away down the left-hand side on pace. Hit it quite early. Didn't look like a great connection by Rashford, but it was well placed. Martinez has ended up having to palm it away. And then Bruno's followed it in from the angle. And he's found the back of the net before any Villa player... Well, he's actually gone behind Mings and Martinez into the far corner. Manchester United lead 1-0. Bruno with the goal. Martinez probably could have done a little bit better with Rashford's shot, which didn't have a lot of power on it. But Bruno, it's probably got a little bit lucky, Bruno, as well. It's deflected. But it's 1-0 to Manchester United. And it's what we deserve based on the first 40 minutes of this game. I was sceptical about Sir Jim Radcliffe as an owner before, judging by the way he's run Nice. However, his recent revelation is an absolute piss take, says Mike. Hi Mark, hope you're well. Can you do your Sean Dyche impression? No, I can't, Jay. I've got a bit of a sore throat today. And hi Mark, will Sir Jim ownership affect your enthusiasm? They're just doing an offside check here on Rashford, who doesn't look anywhere near offside. Will a Sir Jim ownership affect your enthusiasm regarding continuing this channel? I'd hope not, but the future's looking bleak, says Gal. Mate, it's 1-0 to Manchester United. It wasn't offside. I'm never going to stop supporting Manchester United, even if we're in League One. You know, relegation, I'd still support Manchester United. So, yeah. 1-0 to Manchester United. Mark, can the New York Stock Exchange force Sir Jim to offer that inflated price to all of the shareholders? That might frighten him, says Glenny Boy. I don't know. But 5 minutes to go to half-time. I think the key today is to not get beat by Villa, and at no point have we looked like we will. We've actually played really well. 61%, 3 shots to 1 on target. Sancho can't even take on Young, says Faris. I think there's a few people in the chat who've been quite impressed with Sancho so far, to be honest. But what do I know? Bateman says the only time you said you would stop the United stand is if Southgate was manager. No, I did say I'd stop it if we went in the Super League as well. I'd have stopped it then. Southampton are beating Newcastle 1-0 on the road again. They're doing well. So a lot of people saying Sancho's been playing well. We've just got to come out in the second half and do better, haven't we? Because it's we're all very aware of what happened against Spurs. Cam says, how were the protests? Well, it's not just what I think. How does everyone else think the protests went well? I think it's been fantastically well organised. They were very impactful from, what I saw. The 18 minutes outside thing, I understand why they did it. But it's very difficult. As we know, it's just very, very difficult to keep. It's very difficult to get fans to come out of a ground. And I think people think it's easy. That's why I've called it out on Twitter a few times when people say, empty the stadium. I don't think people realise how difficult it is. And I think you sort of have to go to a game at Old Trafford to realise what a match day experience is like in relation to the many different people that are there. And it's just very difficult to empty a stadium. Mark, I sent a £50 super chat but didn't see where to type. I hit by thinking that would take me to screen, but it took I soon sent blank chat. Can I get a refund, says Dave? You'd have to speak to YouTube, mate. I don't know. I don't actually run that sort of thing. It's done through YouTube, but yeah, get in contact with them, Dave. Surely Qatar would have seen this coming, no, says LD. Don't know, mate. The Sancho hate is childish. He's hungry and is clearly getting better the last few matches. Upward progression is what we want to see, says Lake on the moon. I think I've always said about Jadon Sancho, patience is something that I feel is important. But he's starting today. The FA Cup final is going to be another Anfield result if Maguire has to start, says 58 Go. And Sancho much more direct. No dilly-dallying, says Noah. Well, I want to see United get the second goal here because there's no doubt that we've definitely been better. And as Jorginho says, Casemiro has been very, very good today. What was the estimated crowd protesting outside, says Jay Martin? Don't know, mate. Don't know. I'd be speculating. Condora says Casemiro with pace would be even more deadly. Well, he's been the best CDM for the last decade, mate. I don't think pace has really bothered him that much. He's not like he's a 21-year-old coming through. Yeah, slow sports news. Newcastle are losing as well to Southampton. Casemiro is running this game, so happy to see him playing without fear again, says Sean. It's took him a bit of time to get back, hasn't it? It has. But in coming years, we'll be outpriced for so many players because owners don't have the budget for the stadium or the players, says Udet. I tell you what, it doesn't get any easier for United, doesn't it? Brighton at Brighton on Thursday night is going to be a very tough game as well, isn't it? I just want to say thank you, says Nasser. Thank you very much. Malassi has had a much better game today. Thoughts on Evan Ferguson following you on Instagram, says Mark. Oh, lots of people follow me, mate. I'm Mark Goldbridge, come on. I've got a live show on Talk Sport, biggest football fan channel in the world. Of course I've got loads of people following me. No, it's interesting. It's very interesting when players start messaging you about stuff, but I'm not going to start talking about that. He's very dedicated to Brighton. That's what his job is, isn't it? You know, I've said to him he should come to Manchester United. I'm sure everybody's said that to him, but he's got to focus on his own career at the moment. I think United are interested. I'd like to see him come to Manchester United at some point. I mean, with Sir Jim and the Glazers in charge, he'll probably end up going to Arsenal, won't he? Because we won't be able to bloody afford him. But there we go. Malacia went to the Wan-Bissaka School of Tackling, says Lake on the Moon. Well, we're about to hit half time here. I'd like to have seen United get the second goal. I've not been been that impressed with Villa, and sometimes that can happen, but we are talking about a team that's in their last 10 Premier League games, they've won 8. They've only conceded 3 in their last 10. They haven't lost in their last 10 Premier League games. And I just think Villa have looked no better than any Villa side that we've played in the last 5 years. I don't know. It's interesting. But you've got to give United some credit. And I'm telling you now, and I'll tell you this for free. Listen up. I'll tell you this for free. That centre-back pairing of Lindelof and Shaw gives us so much of a platform to play the way that we want to play, like we did in the first half against Spurs and like we have in the first half today. Hope conclusion comes soon. Not good for mental health for many people, says Joel. I'm sad about what United is going through, but focusing on the game. Do you think Ten Hag decided to leave 4 in midfield to try and control the game better in the second half? Maybe, Jim. And if Guardiola wins the treble, does he surpass Fergie's legacy? No, he doesn't. 58 go, because Sir Alex Ferguson didn't have 100 FA charges above him. Despite the negativity around the club's future, the game has been really good so far, and I'm especially impressed by Malacia, says Oz. And I think Casemiro is playing according to the referees. Last match he was careful. This match, even though it's raining, he's flying in for tackles, says Shiam. Did you see the return date on Varane, with him returning, I believe, sometime in early May? Would you keep Lindelof with him or with Shaw? No. Logan, come on. The cold, harsh fact is that if Varane is back, he plays. If Martinez is back, he plays. Luke Shaw deputises for Martinez. Lindelof deputises for Varane. Half-time, if we successfully keep the clean sheet, Dave will have the highest clean sheet, says Glaze it out. Hopefully we will do then. Remember, that's another stat though. Villa have scored in every game that Emery's been in charge. So, we're going to have to keep a clean sheet in the second half, and if we do, it will be a very good one. Casemiro's back. If you don't get it, forget about it, says Christopher Day. Thank you very much. And if we so look, let's have a quick look at the stats at half-time here. They are on the screen. We've had 64% possession, so 36% for Villa. We've had 8 shots to their 2. We've had 4 on target to their 1. We've had way more passes. Our pass accuracy is nearly 10% better than theirs as well. And we've been the better team in that half. I'm very, 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 from a footballing point of view, very, very pleased with Manchester United that half. It ain't easy to play this Villa side, and I actually predicted it would be a draw, but I've not been impressed with Villa, and I've been very impressed with United. So at the moment, halfway there to what would be a very significant 3 points. I think there's some people in the fan base that are still a little bit concerned about top 4. I think we will get top 4. I think we need 10 points. We're on 60 at the moment. We get 70 points. I think we'll get top 4. Mark, I'm disappointed that we don't get Qatar, but can you see a similar success with Sir Jim as Liverpool with FSG, says Tony? No, because Liverpool were fighting Abu Dhabi. Sir Jim will be fighting Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Todd Bowley, and wherever else Qatar decide to buy. I don't know why people can't figure it out, and I don't know why people are trying to spin a positive. Why are you trying to spin a positive on a situation where you've got somebody who will buy the whole club and give you the cheat code, like Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia have? Why are people going, oh, well, we didn't get that, but we've got Sir Jim, who's basically done a deal with the devil, Joel and Avram? Why would you be happy about that? And also, why do you have to go back to Liverpool and FSG and think that that can be replicated now? Liverpool can't replicate it now. Liverpool fans know they can't replicate it now. You cannot compete with Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, and Todd Bowley's Chelsea when he sorts it out with the wealth those three clubs have got. You can't. And if Qatar decide to buy Arsenal or Spurs or Liverpool, it's over. So you can't compete with that. Super wealth, I spoke about this in the summer. Super wealth was the only way for any football club in the Premier League to be successful now. And United have decided that's not what they're going to do because Joel and Avram still want a piece of the cake. And we're screwed. We're screwed. In my opinion, we are screwed if we go down that route. And they can wrap it up as much as they like, and they can, put a dressing on the wound as much as they like, and they can buy Harry Kane and Frankie de Jong this summer, and they can talk about a big stadium, but ultimately there'll be a limit to what they can do, and at some point there will be a need to cash in. We're just a business model if we go with Sir Jim, in my opinion. Great community here, that's always a positive, says John. But look, if you disagree, let me know. Some people do. When the camera showed the stadium at half time, it was half empty. Wow, quite a protest, says Glazers out. The Bruno wing is creating so much width for Rashford and Sancho, causing real issues for Villa. How do you think he plays differ to Anthony? Probably balance, EC, the fact that he's got a right foot. Mark, shout out to my girlfriend Shiva, says Shady. And when we've done that one. Okay, I'm just trying to catch up with anyone who's done any super chats in the last couple of minutes, so bear with me. Yeah, we've done that. Thanks for everything you do, Mark. The United stand is an institution. I listen daily. Come on, United 2-0. Incoming Glazers out, says Lux. Thank you very much. Sabitz has played well. Look, I think United in general have played well. Delo's been good at right back. De Gea made a big save. Malacia has been a lot better than he has done recently. Casemiro looks a lot better. Eriksen's been steady. Sabitz has been steady. Bruno's been good. Rashford's been steady. Sancho's been steady. But for me, the unsung heroes yet again, and I called them out against Brighton, and I guarantee you Ten Hag will appreciate what they're doing for the team in general. Lindelof and Shaw, playing against one of the best strikers in the league at the moment, got him in their pocket. They're playing a high line. They're playing far apart. They're sending the fullbacks forward. They're letting Casemiro go forward. It's not Varane and Martinez, but it's not that far off. They're actually instilling confidence into the midfield and the attack to go out and be adventurous. You can't do that when you've got Harry Maguire because it's that lack of pace. He's like a snail with a handbrake on. He ain't quick enough. So you can't play like this against Ollie Watkins when you've got Maguire there. And I think Lindelof and Shaw yet again are giving us that platform to actually play on the front foot. I mean, Lindelof and Shaw, all right, Brighton we played counter-attacking, but Spurs we played on the front foot for half of the game. We've done it again today. Malacia is a bit vulnerable to pace, as Kenneth. Well, I'm happy with Malacia because I think he was so bad the other night and against Sevilla. That's the Malacia that I think has grown quite well this season. So I think he's doing well. Rahul says, Mark, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is known for being shady. He set up a charity back in the day to fund his 16 million quid ski clubhouse. Well, I don't know about that, Rahul. I don't know. That could be complete and utter bollocks from Rahul. So, yeah, I'm not confirming that. So many people in the chat. I don't know what they're on about. Newcastle are losing 1-0 at half-time. Sancho's played well, in my opinion, says George. A little bit of 50-50 on Sancho, but I think he's done all right. Hi, Mark. What do you think of Kovar on his loan this season at Sparta Prague? Looks very promising, says Rad. I'd take your word for it. I've not really took any notice, if I'm being honest. And what was your reaction to Brighton 6-0? I'm not surprised. I think Brighton are a good team. I'm looking forward to Brighton Man United on Thursday. I think it'll be a tough game for us. But if we can win today, I I think it's a huge help. I mean, we'll have a look at the league table in a minute. Just while that's there, actually, don't forget we're sponsored by Manscaped. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. They've revamped the Lawnmower 4.0 and the Weed Whacker. They've got newer models now. And, the old ones were fantastic, but these new ones are great. You've got your Weed Whacker for your nose, the Lawnmower 4.0 with its lights for a more precise shave for down there. Use the code United Stands, 20% off and free worldwide shipping when you use that code. You can scan it next to me, or you can go through the link in the description. Use that code United Stand, delivered to your door. Fantastic products. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Big shout out to Manscaped. But we've had a gifted membership from Andy Weatherall. Hope you're doing well, Andy. Thank you very much for that. But I did just want to have a quick look at the league table for you, just to try and grab some positivity on this day of, mental unrest. I think many of us are feeling quite deflated about the prospect of Sir Jim Radcliffe getting hold of this club and keeping the Glazers in power. But that's how the league table looks at the moment. Obviously, things will change in the second half, but as it stands, with everybody having the points they've got at the moment, Newcastle are losing, so they'd be on 62 points. We'd be in third place with 63 points, and we'd basically, top four's just about done at that point. I don't think Tottenham are in a top four race anyway. It would kill off Aston Villa. Brighton technically can still get 73 points. We'd have to be a little bit careful of them, maybe. Liverpool can get 71 points, but they've got to win all their games. Be a big boost for us to win this game today. And I think that's what we've got to look to do. Because I tell you what, it'd be massively disappointing for Erik ten Hag if we are winning another game against a decent side and we blow it, especially at home. You've got to go and win that game. I think 1-0 at half-time is probably the right score, but really, it could have been a lot more. It could have been 2-0 to Manchester United. Mike B says the Qatar bid a bit deceptive, including post-sale spending within the bid. That didn't happen, Mike. That was a spin story, by the way. So just be very careful about what's going on in the media at the moment. There was this story that the 5 billion bid from Al Thani and Qatar included repaying the debt and something else. So actually, the bid was about 3 billion. This has been refuted from people close to Qatar, saying that's not the case. Our bid is 5 billion and clearing the debt will be done additionally. So you've got to be careful about that. Baggy says that thanks for the content as always. My wife says she feels like you're part of the family because I've always got you playing on the iPad. What's for tea? Thanks very much for your super chat. Mark, what do you think will happen if the rat does something that Joel and the ponytail rat doesn't like? Well, too many cooks spoil the broth, don't they, Tony? Exactly. Just on the protests, by the way, let's just give you a summary of what's happened today. Protests ahead of the Manchester United versus Aston Villa game. Well coordinated and lots of people turned out for it, which is absolutely fantastic. You'll have seen everything on social media and hopefully on TV. I don't know how much coverage it got from the mainstream, which is disappointing, which is why when I was on national radio last night on the Mark Goldbridge show, I made a point of making it about the protests and about the Glazers. So every little bit helps, but I don't know what the mainstream have reported. The big ask was the 18 minutes outside, and I think it was worth a try, but it's very difficult to do. And as everybody was saying, you could hardly notice that there were any red seats. There was, but as I say, I've watched Carabao Cup games, Old Trafford, 60,000 capacity, and it looks like it's full. So if you've got 3,000 people outside, there's still 72,000 inside. It's very difficult to make an impact on a stay outside because so many people just won't do it for very legitimate reasons. There's people who've been going to games all their life and they're just like, I'm not going to miss 18 minutes. There's people who are, what they call transient fans who, might only get to go once a month, or it might be their first time there. They're not willing to miss 18 minutes either. So whether you agree with that or not, you've got to respect it. And it's just very difficult. And I think it's a prime example of why when people say, let's empty the stadium, you can't do it. It's just so difficult to do. And I think it was worth the message 18 minutes today, and a lot of people did stay outside, and I don't think it's a failure. I think that those people outside are the heroes of the fan base for doing it. But obviously, you know, people will criticise people who weren't even there, but there was people who were there who went into the game. We shouldn't be criticising anyway. You know, we're stronger together, and I think that the protests have been successful. The problem is that nobody really wants to report it, which is, you know, the way the media works. Because, as we know, if Qatar were going to do a deal with the Glazers, they'd be public enemy number one. But because it's Sir Jim and he's British, it's fine. Mark, are you coming to New York for the tour? Yes, Max, looking forward to it. I doubt Jim will be paying any dividends for a long time, so the Glazers will have to make do with Manchester's fresh air and sunshine for quite a while, says Mott. I'm sure they'll be more than happy, mate, with their 10% each. Yeah, Dano, we're not going to start talking about that, I'm afraid. So I don't know why you should have took the hints. We're not going to start talking about that sort of stuff live on the channel. So apologies, but you should have took the bloody hint, really. What happened? Sally Devered says it's all being suppressed. We'll just call it out. I mean, look, at the end of the day, ultimately, I mean, like, I don't really want to talk about it, but the reality is, when you know, people say, why aren't you on this channel? Why aren't you on that channel? Why don't you get invited on this? Why don't you get invited on that? The honest answer is they're scared. They're scared because I can't, you know, I'll say what I think. And they don't like that because it's all very scripted and organised, and it's about, you know, protecting their brand and making them look good. But call it out. Like, just call it out. People want honesty and integrity. Call it out. Like, why are certain journalists spent the last few weeks and months slagging off Qatar, and now they can't remove their head from their arse to write a story about why Sir Jim wants to keep the Glazers in power? You know who those journalists are. You know who those outlets are. They're terrified to say anything. Absolutely terrified to say anything. Call these people out. Because all you're getting now is, I mean, some of these people are very vocal. You know, news happens, within a second they're having a say on it. And now they're going, well, let's just wait and see. Nobody really knows what's happening. Let's just wait and see. Oh, so you're the people who've been moaning about stuff like instantly for the last few weeks and months. But now you're like, oh, let's wait and see. It might not be true. Bullshit. You're talking out your arse. Absolute talking out your arse. What do you think of Lindelof's 1-year contract extension, says Auto Bricks? I feel deflated with this Ratcliffe Glazers deal. I don't know what I'm going to do if he gets in, says Class. Do you think Sancho should play a lot more due to his increase in form, says Ryan? I don't really care what happens with Sancho this season. I think next season Rashford should be on the left, Anthony should be on the right, and we should buy a new striker. So where does Sancho fit into that is interesting. But all at the moment, he's just got to grab his opportunity, hasn't he? Ollie Watkins is a shout out if we don't get Kane, says Isle. I disagree. I don't think Ollie Watkins is anywhere near the level required for what we need at United. I think we need better than that. I wouldn't mind him coming and sitting on our bench, but I wouldn't have him. I wouldn't have him in the. You know, he wouldn't be my. You know, if we went from like Kane, Osman, Højlund to Watkins, I'd be very disappointed. Good striker, but no, he's not the level we want. But to be honest, under the Glazers and Sir Jim, it's probably exactly what we'll get. What to do the two remaining Glazers get out of this? 10% each, Callum. Rahul says the journos Mark is talking about are Gary Neville, The Athletic, Vibe with 5, Mank Lad, Overlap Mank. Rahul, what are you talking about? You don't live in my head. I've only read that because you've done it as a super chat. If I speak, I'm in trouble. But you're not in my head, so you don't know who I'm talking about. And actually, you missed 3 people out I actually was talking about anyway. What Barca player do you want or rate, says Sadia? Oh, I've always wanted Frankie de Jong. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Manchester United in the second half. Ashley Young's just put a cross in that could have been a goal for Watkins, but it was a bit high. Qatar would make us an evil sports washing joke, says Thomas. Wait to see what's going to happen with the Glazers staying, mate. Enjoy it. If Sir Jim and the Glazers share ownership of the club, they will eventually screw up and end up selling again anyway, says Salim. Yeah, now was the time. I think Victor Lindelof actually got a header on that to stop it going to Watkins. He did, because it's gone for a throw into them. Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the second half, won't it? Because we were very good against Spurs in the first half, and then we were shite in the second half. So Ten Hag will be absolutely desperate to make sure that the team in the second half does its job. What do you think will be the positives for Sir Jim, says Pratik? None. There is none. I mean, obviously there are, but I ain't going to give you any today. It's going to take me months. There's no positives, mate, because it's a betrayal. There's no positives in betrayal. Sahil, thank you very much. Akshay, apart from the protest, what else can we do as fans to make ourselves heard? It's so frustrating. Mate, they don't listen to us anyway. They're only selling us because they've got to find someone to fund a stadium. We haven't forced them out. So I don't think there's anything we can do. I think we all know that. Is that not moving around again? That's the lineup. You literally just missed it, you prat. Joseph says more people want Greenwood in than Sir Jim. Sir Jim said last year, the Glazers are nice people, says Uhtred. Yeah. Do you think we can get the Napoli striker? I'm going to find that quote and then we can all just remind everybody about it. Well, you know, I'd have started off a little bit on the back foot here. It's got to stop ourselves from having this. Stop inviting the pressure. Do, 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 do. I found it. So he basically, well, Villa have got a good free kick opportunity here. Let's focus on the game because people will get moody in the chat. Do the Glazers honestly think partnering with Sir Jim makes the fans like them? Surely they aren't that thick. I don't think they care what the fans think, Connor. They've proven that time and time again. Good block by Luke Shaw there. Why would the two brothers want to stay and only collect dividends rather than taking around 700 million each they will now have to put into the club? They don't have to put anything into the club, Callum. Callum, wake up, Callum. They've already got 20%. They don't have to put 700 million in. They've already got 20%. They just keep 20%. They don't have to put any money in. They've got 20% in the club. So basically what the Glazers do is they keep 20%. Sir Jim buys 50%. They watch Sir Jim build the stadium and everything else. So basically what they do is they've took all these dividends over the years. They've made all this profit off Manchester United. They then sell half of the club, keep 20%, have to spend nothing of their own, watch Sir Jim build the stadium and everything like that. And then if the club goes up in value, their 20% goes up in value. What they're basically doing is we don't want our 700 million now because we think we'll get 1.5 billion in five years. And if we don't, we'll just take the 700 then. They don't have to spend any money. It's a win-win-win for them. So this is what Sir Jim Ratcliffe had to say about the Glazers back in October. he said, Manchester United is owned by the Glazer family. I've met Joel and Avram. They are the nicest people, I have to say. Proper gentlemen. I'll tell you what, I'd love full-time right now. I'd love full-time right now. I just want to get this result done. But I don't believe... Hitman, I don't believe the Muppeteers because they're just pro Sir Jim. And I don't believe that their information is any better than Mike Keegan or Ben Jacobs or anybody else. I just think they're pro Sir Jim. And I like them. You know, I like them, but I think that their tweets are just constantly pro Sir Jim, which is fine. But I don't agree with him. The next 15 to 20 minutes are important, says Jew. And who's the best, Sir Jim, Savile or Radcliffe, says Peace? Oh, come on. You can't do that. He's a knight of the realm. Oh, no, they took it off him, didn't they? Savile, not Radcliffe. You know Ten Hag is itching to bring on Weghorst, says Jeff. I just want the second goal. Give us a second goal. Qatar or riots, I think that's really what's going to happen, says Robert. I don't know. Mark, thank you very much for the super chats. Thank you very much. Hi, Mark. Is there a game on? Yes, Shane. We've been talking about it quite sporadically. Mark says 2 isn't enough. Villa will score. Villa have scored in their last... I don't know why I'm holding up 5. Villa have scored in their in every game that Emery's been in charge. I think it's their last 20 they've scored. They've not been beaten in 10. But yeah, you're right. Villa always score under Emery. Pedge says get Rashford off. Well, not for Weghorst. Villa are always going to come back in the second half, though. Of course they are. Oh, I tell you what, Malacia put a cross in there and it was a little bit unlucky that it didn't fall for Rashford. Would have been a tap-in. I'm not doing a Liverpool Spurs watch-along, no. I'm doing Everton-Leicester tomorrow night at 8 because I think that's a cracking relegation game. But no, I'm not doing Liverpool Spurs. Liverpool will win that. We should have beat Spurs. It'll piss me off watching Liverpool beat Spurs. Who's getting relegated this season? Says Clark. Yosmi says, I'd like to see Anthony on the wing. Don't forget, by the way, on a brighter note, our live shows are fantastic. We're in Dublin on June the 6th. Get your tickets while you can. Links in the live chat and in the video description. It's going to be a cracking night. Really looking forward to it. I'll need a drink after this season, trust me. Watch out. Villa's about. We are inviting more pressure second half. Typical Man United here. But Sabitzer brings it out. For me, it's clear weakness in the squad being left that hurts more than stadium or training ground. Striker, CDM, Maguire, just obvious ways to be better, says Murray. We mustn't forget that our lads give up down tools and lose interest, so this is far from over, says Sean. Yeah, especially with one. How far do you think we get in the Champions League with this current roster, says Sahil? Last 16. Depends who you get, doesn't it? You know, we've seen last 16 games between PSG and Bayern. In the, you know, I'd like to think we'd be a last 8 team, but depends who you get. Hi Mark, did you see Gary Neville refusing to talk about Sir Jim Radcliffe on Twitter? I've seen him spend most of the day on Twitter talking about Liverpool's owners, yes. I think they've all got their own bed to make, haven't they? As I said, look, I think if you're looking for certain people to speak up, and it can be a journalist, it can be an ex-player, and they're not speaking up, I would say they're not speaking up because there's a reason they're not speaking up, because it's in their interest not to say anything because it might come back and bite them in the future, i.e. press conference access or, you know, place on the board or a position. You know, people are a lot clever. You know, they're very vocal about things that they know they can be vocal about, and they stay quiet when they're concerned about how it might impact on them. So I think there's a lot of people staying quiet because they're thinking, well, if Sir Jim does get hold of the club, you know, it might be a place for me. For me, it's clear weakness. I've done that one from Murray. Co, thank you very much for your super chat. Hi, Mark. I've been watching the United stand since 2018. First super chat. According to Google, Sir Jim is worth 20 billion. Why are we worried he won't invest, says Mark Anthony. But that's not his personal wealth, is it? It's all locked up in Ineos. How's it gone with Nice? Looks like there's been a yellow card here for Manchester United. Sorry, not for Manchester United. It was McGinn on Ericsson. No yellow card. Should have been a yellow card. He did barge him. I agree with you. The Riddler, it should have been a yellow. How's Qatar done with PSG, says Luke. Absolutely dominated the French league. Brought in players like Messi and Neymar. They haven't won the Champions League, I admit, but it's a lot better than what Sir Jim's done at Nice, who apparently is richer than them. So, yeah. Also, he's not going to get rid of the debt. Marcus Rashford nearly scored a great goal, but Martinez was quick off his line. I've been subscribed since 7,000 subs, says Callum. I want you to know I've appreciated everything you've done for this club on this platform. I hate this defeated feeling. Thanks, Callum. Hope you're doing well. Sancho is useless, says Oz. Pond says he's a flop. People getting on to Sancho. I don't really see it, really. He'll take him off if he's not happy, though. We know that Ten Hag will do that. I think we'll see Anthony coming on at some point anyway. Remember, he's got Martial on the bench as well. Do you rate Fred, says Sahil? I think Fred can be decent. I thought against Spurs, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Bulo is a member. He says, I've never rated Sancho. Mark, Sir Jim Radcliffe once said in an interview, in my opinion, you haven't accomplished anything if you've done it by cheating. There's no honour in that, says Rahul. Gravenberch or Casido? Casido, Yosmi. I think Gravenberch's got a lot of potential, but Casido looks to me like he's the real deal. Ziliakos tweet, says Joshua, I will have a look. How do you spell it? Ziliakos. Zil. Oh, I can't spell it. I found it now. Based on media reports on competing bids for Manchester United, my second round bid, which I renewed for round 3, looks to be the best for the club, the fans and the sellers. Interesting weeks ahead. Okay. People are replying, I'd prefer you to Ratcliffe. I hope you win. Oh, yeah. Imagine, I mean, look, nothing would surprise me anymore, but imagine if Ziliakos bought Man United and then we could say we actually had the future owner of Man United on the United stand before anybody else. I don't think it'll happen, but sorry you thought it's not worth answering. I'm just curious about the situation, that's all. Anyway, love the show, says Mark. Thank you very much. And fingers crossed Sir Jim makes Veghorst permanent, says Chris. And hi Mark, Ineos has turned off comments and started shutting fans out already, says Wackass. Yeah. Wow. Just shows you what they think, isn't it? Instead of trying to put fans' minds at rest, you just think you'll ride it out. It's typical Glazer tactics, isn't it? Good punch away by David from a corner. So it's intriguing, this game now, with half an hour to go, you know, considering Villa have scored in every bloody game that Emery's been in charge, which is now over 20 games. I heard that Sir Jim offer is worth more to the Glazers. I was wondering if you know why, because it doesn't make sense to me. I thought Qatar was, says Robert. Robert, I've explained it so many times. Thanks for the super chat. So basically, If Sir Jim has offered 5 billion for the full club, if Al Thani has offered 5 billion for the club entirety, Sir Jim can buy half of it and spend nowhere near as much, but value it more. So basically, he's offering 3 billion for 50%. So he pays 2 billion less, but because he's paying 3 billion for 50%, the full value is 6 billion, isn't it? So that's basically what he's doing. It's a clever way of doing it. You overvalue the club, but only buy half of it. So you'll spend less than Al Thani, really. Mark, what's your thoughts on the FA Cup final? Says Talon. Long way away. Long way away. Not really thinking about it. Lovely ball into Rashford, but a bad touch. Could have been 1-1 there. Game's getting a little bit stretched here. Please do subscribe to the channel, bottom right-hand corner, but it is getting a bit stretched. I don't think it's going to go half an hour, do you? I don't think we're going to get half an hour with 1-0. Lots of people saying get Anthony on. Corner to Villa. Casemiro doing his job. The Sir Jim possible ownership is pointless. It changes nothing, which is why I prefer Qatar, says Dennis. However, the one that has its imperfections too. That one. Before Qataris took over PSG, they won the title only 2 times in 10 years. After that, they've won it 8 out of 10, says HKN. And Udit says, Juan Mata or Sancho for me. Mata both can't dribble past players, but far better in finding spaces, says Udit. Interesting substitution there. Ashley Young's gone off for Callum Chambers, and Dendonka has gone off for I don't know who that. Traore. What happened to Kamara that they bought Villa? I always thought he was going to be a good signing, and I know a few Villa fans, and they said they were very happy with him, but I presume he must be injured. Remember, what's his name? They got him, was it from Marseille? Who got him on a free? Ericsson's been terrible, says Alex. And the Brighton Man United game will be good to watch on Thursday. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Radical. Apparently Emery doesn't like him, says Gazzy. Ericsson is shocking and he needs to come off, says Detta. Been a bit typical United in the second half, not been able to maintain it. I'd love just to get that second goal. Casemiro's played well, says Ishak. P says you should come to Coventry games. Tom says he's not happy with Rashford or Ericsson. Sancho better on the right, passing more naturally, says Chase. And hello, Mark. Do you agree that Lindelof, all he needed was a manager who knows football? I think Victor has developed very well under him. Lindelof's had a good season, Big. You know, I know he's not played every game, but when Lindelof's played this season, I don't think he's had a bad game, really. I know a lot of his games have been fill-in, but I think Lindelof's been such a better player in a system where, you know, he's allowed to play. I mean, the amount of times, you'll see it, you probably just saw it, like, the amount of times Lindelof gets the ball, passes it, and then moves into the midfield. Good sweeper keeping from De Gea. So, essentially, he inflates the price of a lower percentage of the club to increase the Glazer profits. Thanks for clarifying. Yeah, Robert, that's exactly what Sir Jim's done. He's increased the price of the club for a lower percentage to make the Glazers take it. Hello from Indonesia, Mark. But I think it's really clever what he's done from a business point of view. It's just United fans suffer. I still feel Qatar will win, says Blakey. Hello from Indonesia, Mark. Don't forget to stretch, says Ibra. And do you know who will win? Who owns the other 30%? Says Karen. It's basically the New York Stock Exchange. There's like various shareholders and investment funds. They're just silent, really. They don't really have much of a say. They're just shareholders, yeah. Man of the match so far, says Paul. Good question. I would say man of the match for Man United so far, probably Casemiro. We've generally kept them quite quiet. But as I say, I've been very impressed with Luke Shaw and Lindelof again. Shaw, man of the match so far, says Michael McCann. Thanks for being a member, mates. Lindelof or Bruno, says Tom. Well, Villa always score, so we've got to be careful. Still 23 minutes to go. Kamara's got an ankle injury, says Corrupted. Thank you very much, mate, for letting me know that. Don't forget, we're sponsored by Manscaped. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. 20% off with the code UnitedStand. That's powerful, that is. Gets the job done. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Links in the description. No one will let me get my words out, Felix. No one will recognise it, but Sabitzer makes a good performance. Yeah, I think Sabitzer's played better than Eriksen. Eriksen's been a bit off. I'm not doing a tutorial. Use your imagination. I feel very tired today. I think it's emotional tiredness. I feel like I might have to go to the pub. I suppose that's the positive of a Sunday afternoon 2 o'clock kickoff and not a 4:30. We have got player ratings to do and match reaction, and we will have a fan forum for you though as well. When did Villa hire Count? We're not doing that, Nathan. You can't. Let's not be like that. Ray says I can see a draw. I predicted a draw. I think it had a draw written all over it, but I'd be disappointed because I think in the first half we were so good. I'd be disappointed if this one ended up being a draw, really. I think if we draw this, I'd be pissed off with 2 points from 6 because we should have beat Spurs. But there's always that danger, isn't there, that Villa haven't conceded a goal. Sorry, Villa haven't not scored a goal under Emery. Sitting on my... Bring on Anthony. The game will be perfect for him, says Shane. I'm surprised he's not made any subs yet. 70 minutes. Not made any subs yet, have we? Still 2-1 to City at Fulham. Still Southampton are 1-1 with Newcastle now, by the way. Bournemouth 3-1 up against Leeds. Leeds could be heading down. That won't bother any Man United fan. Word games being stopped. Get the FA involved. So Stephen Edge. Well played, Luke Shaw. Unpopular opinion, but I think the Lindelof should be sold with the summer, seeing how well he is playing recently. United replace him with a young centre-back, says Dennis. Yeah, but the trouble is, I know what you mean. There's value in selling Lindelof because he's got a price tag that's... It's like Wan-Bissaka, isn't it? You'd get decent money for Lindelof because he's actually an asset. But you can't keep Maguire. He's just not useful. What will be your subs, attack or defence, says Christopher? I mean, you might bring Maguire on and go to a back 5. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't be surprised if he brings Maguire. In fact, I'll do a little bet with you now. I guarantee you Maguire's going to come on and we're going to go to a back 5. He'll do Maguire for Sabitzer, I reckon. I think you've got to bring Anthony on for Sancho. And he won't want to take Rashford off, you see, so I don't know how he'd get Martial on. I've been impressed with Ramsey, says Budwell. I'm a big fan of Jacob Ramsey. I think he's a really good player. He sort of fell off a little bit under Gerrard, but Emery's got him firing again. I appreciate Sancho's work rate today, says Mike B. Thank you very much. I think this is going to be Sancho's best game, says Kevin. It's amazing, isn't it? The difference between people's opinion on Sancho. Sabitz has got the most recoveries today. Great work, says Comment. Thank you very much, pal. Villa don't look like they're going to score, says Jan. Yeah, I'm not going to say that. I'm keeping my gob shut about all that sort of stuff today. Muad's a member. He says Sancho's work rate is massively improved. Mark, the worst case scenario happens. Where do you think that leaves the fans and future process, or is it pointless, says David? I don't know. You know, my feeling is that there would be a charm offensive from Sir Jim. He's got lots of friends in the media, lots of friends with ex-players. I think it would just be a bombardment of the fans telling us how great it's going to be, and maybe there's a honeymoon period for a year or two, but ultimately we won't succeed, and we'll end up where we have been for the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really care about your charm offensive. I don't care about your honeymoon period. It's a disgrace that you're keeping Joel and Avram in place. That's my problem. Luna says, I'm looking forward to the Dublin show. Yeah, remember you can get your tickets. They're in the live chat or the video description. They're going fast, but we've still got a few left. June the 6th, end of year live show. Going to be good shot there from Casemiro. Good chance there, and just went wide. Toho says, if Ineos buy the club, will this mean that share prices drop significantly and they can then purchase 30% of the stock exchange for cheap, says Toho? Don't know. People saying it could have been a penalty on Rashford. I think it would have been ridiculously soft. I don't think that's a penalty. You know me, I'll have a moan about referees, but I don't for 1 minute think that's a penalty. I don't. I think it's soft. Hi Mark, I hope all's well. It was my boy Kieran's 11th birthday yesterday and he's having the stadium tour in the summer for the first time. Happy birthday to Kieran. That's from David Lewis. Happy birthday to Kieran. Hope you had a good day yesterday. I've not been on the stadium tour for years. I've been on it a few times and not been on for about 8 years, but hopefully they'll have a good time. Anthony and Fred are coming on. Now, Fred better play well because he was shite on Thursday. But you know what? That often happens with Fred. He has a shit game and then he has a good game. Gary commenting, we should wait and see because we don't have all the facts. Does he realise what a hypocrite he's being? Says Nemanja. Well, I can't speak because at the end of the day, he loves expressing his opinion about absolutely everything. But if you express an opinion on him, he's terrified of actually having a debate about it. So I can't be bothered to keep just getting into all of that. But as I said, my feeling is that certain journalists and certain ex-players are staying quiet because it benefits them to stay quiet. Newcastle have scored 2-1. I mean, that's always a bit frustrating, isn't it? Because Southampton's shock lead 1-0 and then they end up winning anyway, Newcastle. Like Kyle says, Newcastle were always going to win. It's just the hope that kills you a bit. But then again, I think Newcastle and Man United in top 4 is probably what we're expecting anyway, isn't it? I think Eriksen and Sancho are off and Fred and Anthony are on. Divan Slow Sparks News says it was a penalty. Do you think Chelsea are in a relegation battle, says Safin? No. I don't. Eriksen's been piss poor again, says Just Kevin. I thought he was a lot better against Spurs. Yeah. Didn't play well against Brighton last week. Sancho showed some more intensity. I think Eric gave him the right amount of grilling in the presser the other day, says McCandy. Yeah, he's just got to work harder, hasn't he? We're going to have to be a little bit patient, but yeah, he's just got to work harder. Yesterday was a beautiful day for Barcelona fans. We witnessed the debut of Yamal. He had a fantastic debut, says Dennis. There you go. I'll tell you what, though. Regardless of anything else, if Man United beat Villa, it's a really good 3 points. And it makes that Spurs point less frustrating. Because ultimately, I probably would have took a win against Spurs and a draw against Villa anyway. So if it's done the other way around, happy days. So we've got 15 minutes here to try and be the first team to stop Villa scoring in 20. I mean, that's a huge challenge for Lindelof and Luke Shaw and David De Gea. And it's a huge feather in their cap if they can do that. You know, no one can say that they're not defending well if they can do that. So really big positive for them if they can do it. Big 15 minutes to go. De Gea quick off his line. Newcastle's goal has been disallowed, by the way. It's still 1-1 there. Player ratings, Mark, says Javier. We will have player ratings. I just don't think they're up yet. Nope. Nope, not got them yet. Mark, maybe he dropped Anthony and Wan-Bissaka in order to have better quality off the bench as subs have completely dropped the performance recently, says Kofi. Maybe. What place did you predict United to end at the beginning of the season, says Brian. I think I said 5th. I think I did say 5th, you know. Marie says Rashford's tired. He never takes Rashford off, though. Never takes him off. Doesn't matter whether he has a good game, a bad game, he'll never take him off. Rahul says Bruno's been missing today. Yeah, if you forgot what the score is, mate, and who scored it, think before you type. Martial's on the bench. Anthony's playing at left wing at the moment. They just kept Bruno on the right. Ooh, cross came in from Bruno. Hi, Mark. Do you take sugar in your coffee or maybe some honey? I don't sometimes. Sugar in tea if hungover, says Rory. Yeah, interesting question, Rory. I don't. I haven't took tea or coffee with sugar in years. I live in the States and I've met more non-Brit Liverpool fans than any other club. Still haven't met an American that supports Man City, though, says Wet Potato. Apparently they do. There's some like graph of who supports what team in the Premier League more in each state in America. And there are areas where apparently it's Man City. I can't remember what areas it are. There's quite a few Chelsea areas as well. It is 2-1 to Newcastle now. It could have been 2-0 to Manchester United there. Sabitz has just fouled. Time for a stretch march. Trying to have a stretch mark, says Logan. Thanks, pal. My back is in agony today. It's a culmination of things today. The whole horrible news around the Glazers and Sir Jim. And then really bad low back pain, which is just making me feel very deflated. What we got? We've got 10 minutes to go. So let's go. Player ratings are up apparently. I'm just going to check now. Off the line by Lindelof. De Gea punches away, and I think he was fouled anyway. I want a foul, ref. Yeah, player ratings are up. Let me just whack them in the video description for you. Would you take any Villa players at Manchester United? Oh, Manchester United. I'd take Jacob Ramsey. Yeah, I think he's a good player. Probably wouldn't take anyone else. Ollie Watkins for the bench. Lindelof off the line. 10 minutes to go. Could get a bit squeaky. Could be a bit squeaky. Need to be a little bit careful here. They deserve this clean sheet. They really do. I think they've played really well today. Lindelof, man of the match, says everyone in the chat. Make sure you subscribe, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner. We were only 100 subscribers off 642,000. Logan, what's the worst UK accent? I'm not playing that game. I've played the game. I'm not playing that game. Just offend people from a certain area. Because we need each other, we believe in one another. Please. No. Need a second. I don't know whether we're going to get a second. I think if we're going to get the win here, we're going to need the clean sheet. We're going to need the clean sheet. Mark, what's your view on Bournemouth? Says Dominique. They're going to stay up. He's going to bring Maguire on. I think we're just going to park up the bus now, aren't we, a little bit and try and get it through. I don't mind bringing Harry Maguire on for the last 5 minutes. They're going to bombard us with crosses. It's not a bad idea to bring Maguire on. I know I can see the chat's going absolutely crazy, but it's not a bad idea. Can we bottle this, says GJ? I hope not. Lindelof again. Another corner. Without investment, our club will never make a profit again. So what good would making owner 20% of worthless shares be? Exactly, Spencer. Maguire on means no clean sheet, says Tom. Well, I don't know why owning only 50. Why you'd want to chuck loads of money into the club when you only own 50% of it as well. You know, surely I don't know. We're getting into stuff that I can't be asked to get into. I'd rather get into 3 points here. Another cross comes in. Oh, tell you what, it was nearly in off the line. Luke Shaw goes with a high head. Catches it in the face from Chambers. Yeah, Luke Shaw just caught one in the face there. Get Maguire on now. Probably take off Sabitzer. Might even take... Yeah, I knew it. Sabitzer. Sabitzer goes off for Maguire. Give me the armband. Bruno, give me the armband. Don't hide on the right wing. Oh, Rashford's coming off as well for Martial. Five minutes to go. We're in that area of get the job done. Tom said Maguire on means no clean sheet. I wouldn't go that far. I think we'll be all right. card. Not long to go. A Newcastle winning now. I don't think we're playing a back four. We're playing a back five. Luke Shaw's playing central, left. Mark, surely if Altani is paying $5 billion, he's actually only buying the 69% belonging to the Glazers and buy out the rest when they get the club, says Derek. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I'm tired. Maguire blasts it clear. That'll do. Remember, Villa have not scored in every game for Emery. That's the challenge. Maguire puts his foot in. Alan Casey, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for joining. Player ratings, a video description. Emery's looking a bit concerned here. Rich says you called this 20 minutes ago. I don't want any virtual high fives or anything for that. I think it was very obvious that bringing Harry Maguire on with the last 5 minutes, he's done it a few times this season, especially at home, where we're holding on to a win. You know, it sort of makes sense as well because it prevents Villa from being able to just whack loads of long balls in the box. But as I say, I think Lindelof and Luke Shaw have been brilliant again. Mark, next season, is it worth giving the players a man of the match Potts trophy? One of the TS team could present it to the player at Carrington, says Ian. It'd be nice. Bruno's kept the armband. Good. Has he? I can't see an armband on his arm. Mark, saw United get invited. Why does United... There we go. Thanks very much. There you go. Why does United stand feel like the bullied child in school and goes on to do something huge, says Rahul. Mate. Sean Paris, thank you very much. Welcome to episode. It's nice that people want to see us doing stuff with others. But ultimately, I don't really want to talk about it much anymore because people just go, oh, you beg. And it's like, we're the biggest. I don't really care. But ultimately, the reason they won't do it is fear. It's always fear, isn't it? Of course it is. They've got much more to lose, I suppose. That's probably why they don't want to sit and have a chat. But you're only here once. I think people want to see good content, don't they? But some people want to protect their reputation. It can only be fear, regardless of which side of the fence you sit on. A minute to go. Got a lovely cup of tea in my United Stand mug. That tastes like 3 points. That tastes like 3 points. I really genuinely thought Villa would give us a game today. I think they've been okay, Villa, but we've been better. So with us winning and Newcastle winning, presuming we both do win, I realise what I've just done, by the way. It's all right when it's a goal kick for Villa, but when it's up the other end. But with us winning and with us winning and Newcastle winning, that kills Villa off for top 4. Spurs were killed off anyway. I don't think Brighton can do it, and I don't really think Liverpool can do it. So really, it's just looking like the title in the top 4 race is pretty much done if the results stay the same. But as I said, Villa have scored in every game they've played under Emery. Bring my tea to Bridge, says Kyle. Thank you very much. James says, I'd love to see Mark doing stuff with other people. That's an OnlyFans discussion. There's more chance of that than there is of me doing a bloody interview with some of these ex-players, I tell you. I tell you. Firefire says, people want true opinion, not self-serving bull. Look, at the end of the day on that, I'm just trying to pass some time here because I don't want them to score. If you think about it, if I'm some big ex-player that played for United and I get called out by just a normal fan who's, got a following on social media, and I go, let's have a debate, and then in that debate I end up not looking as intelligent as they do, massively damages my brand. That's why they won't do it. They will do it with people who walk in and they will do it with other social media fans, but those social media fans will kiss their arse and go, oh, I love you, I'm not going to say anything bad, don't worry, and we won't do it live because then it can be edited out. So that's just how it works. And people think when you say fear that you're being arrogant, but it can only be fear. Here we go. Oh, Anthony. Oh, straight at the keeper. Heart beating faster than when I was a little kid at the dentist's office. Maguire still pointing even without the armband on, says Javier. Sheikh Shazim was too focused on pleasing the fans rather than pleasing the Glazers, says Shub. Yeah. Bournemouth are 4-1 up. Joshua, I don't know what that means, so I'm not going to say it, but I know that you're a legend of the chat. Just sounds a bit rude. Still a minute to go. Can I just say, regardless, it's been a horrible day in relation to some of the news that we've been hearing, but big shout out to Manscaped. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Use the code United Stands. You won't regret it. Get the Lawnmower 4.0 delivered to your door. Free worldwide shipping. 20% off with the code United Stand. Links in the description or scan the QR code. And that league table looks very good if United win. It's a really good result. It is a good result. I'll do some content a little bit later about the sale, but I think let's just talk about the result. Player ratings, match reaction. It's a big win for United. And really, the only people that can really get us for top four are probably Brighton or Liverpool now, and it's very unlikely. Because we've got 63 points, and we've still got to play some right shit. I mean, we only need 70 points, and we've still got Fulham at home. They're on the beach. We've got to play West Ham away. They're crap. Wolves at home. They're crap. Bournemouth away. They'll be safe. Chelsea at home. They're crap. Fulham. We just basically need another 6. We just need 7 points. And we've got Fulham at home. Wolves at home. West Ham away. Bournemouth away. Chelsea will be fine. But it's a big 3 points to get today. Sean Paris, welcome to the Members Club. Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it. One chance here for Villa to whip a cross in. I already know it's over. A lot of people are way ahead. I think it is full time. 1-0 to Manchester United. It's a fantastic result. It really is. It really is. I tell you what, he did it again. Victor Lindelof headed it away again. I can't speak. Well, I can. I can't tell you. I'll be stunned if he doesn't get our man of the match again, because he was absolutely brilliant. Brilliant performance by Victor Lindelof. Absolutely fantastic. I'm going to see you over in a minute or two on the match reaction. So get your player ratings in. and we'll discuss it more there. We'll also pick up a little bit about the sale and stuff like that. But big win for Manchester United. I'll see you over on the match reaction in a minute. Why is it not pushing people to the match reaction? The cheeky bastard. Sometimes it does it and sometimes it doesn't. There we go. I'll see you over there in a minute.